Hey everybody, it's the Giant Bombcast for July the 7th, 2020. I'm Brad Shoemaker, Jeff Gersman's here, Jason Astrack is here, Janet Joe is here, Ben Pack is here.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
We're all here.
Coming off a hot holiday weekend.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
still
Pretty
hot because I had to close the windows because it's loud outside.
Yes.
So it's hot.
It's temperature hot. It's also aurally hot.
The block is hot.
It is popping off.
Yeah.
It would not stop popping off. God.
Getting a lot of it out there.
Oh,
yeah. Fireworks still going off.
Still?
And it's like July 7th.
Man.
Yeah. Last night it was still going off.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just every day for dead people now? Yeah.
Yeah, it has
Just a
been.
way of life.
Yeah.
The earliest it went off was like at 4 p.m.
Okay.
yesterday. And I looked outside. It's not even dark yet. But I
Right.
hear them.
I mean, what
Only
else?
one more week of consistent fireworks until we're all used to it, and then the psyop wins, and we're all fucked, man. Listen, dude, it's all
Just a form of social control, man.
getting us used to hearing pop. So when the real pops start, we're all done.
When you saw the video, they went to. It was a building behind the police station, and the cops weren't even looking into it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Pop, pop.
We're just here to ask questions.
That's
Like,
right.
When will these fireworks stop?
We should be broadcasting this podcast on AM radio. Wonder how hard
I've always thought of us as, it's kind of a like podcasting in general really is kind of an AM radio thing.
Sure.
When it's good, bad podcasts come across like FM radio, like the Giant Bombcast Aftermath coming up after this.
That's
If you want- if you
extremely
want-
that's extremely AM.
That one's going to be a parlor exclusive, right?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're working on a hot deal there. They had some requests for some changes to the show. You're going to need to grow a mustache of some kind.
Okay.
I didn't inquire as to what anything beyond that, but that's
Just make sure you read through their terms of service before you sign up for anything there.
How many times do you guys do like station indents or idents, whatever they're called, on the Aftermath?
Station ID.
ID,
Oh,
yes.
We should do it more.
We
Can
should
you
probably-
make one of your soundboard buttons a
What is
station ID.
What is your station?
yeah. We should probably
What frequency are you on?
figure out. I think it's a crime to say you're on a frequency that's not real, right? If the FCC is going to kick down your door.
I
We're
know.
on the frequency.
I know they're
we don't
listening.
give a
Yeah.
heck.
Whoa!
Wow.
I saw that
6.66.
Christian Slater movie. I saw Pump Up the Volume. I know how it goes.
Pump up the Valium.
Pump up the Valium. Okay.
Pump up the
Are
Valium.
you-
Pump
are-
up the Val. I saw Pump Up the Valium.
Are you holding?
Not anymore, man. Laid back. You set off all the fireworks you want, man.
Wow.
This is America, buddy.
Do you think
Woo!
do you think there's like a lot of spectrum being freed up these days because everybody's just getting on the internet? And you think it would actually be doable to get on the radio at this point?
I mean, you could, like it's still illegal, but yeah, people have always been able to just like build low power antennas
sure.
and intrude onto FM frequencies and stuff like that.
We need to find the guy with the ponytail. He'll help. us.
Yeah. Well, he's on actual radio. I think he went to like some Quiet Storm smooth jazz station
what?
after he left the company.
Wait, is he an on-air personality now?
Yes, yeah,
Is he really?
he was.
Oh,
Yes,
I
yeah,
didn't know that.
He had the. He definitely had the.
Yeah, did you ever hear him speak?
Yes, he had a real radio voice for sure.
When he would come around the office, it was just Steven just rolling up with his ponytail and his cowboy boots. Has been, hey, I'm like, oh man, wow.
He always asked me what was new with like youth culture.
I
There's like a connection to the millennials.
Yeah,
He talked to me about Attack on Titan a lot. He watched the first season.
yeah.
He was into that show. I'm like,
one of the
I haven't
other
seen
radio
it.
spots that he produced, I think, mentioned Attack on Titan, and he
Yeah.
was like, "I'm gonna check that out, man." And yeah, I feel terrible for having lost contact with him. I should have been smarter about staying in touch.
I'm
He's
belatedly
cool
realizing it's kind of a tragedy that we never got him on camera for anything.
guy. Yeah,
I don't even know who this guy is.
He produced he was the internal producer for a lot of radio stuff that we did for CBS Radio. So I still do a minute of audio for CBS Radio or whatever. Did they sell? I don't know if they own a radio. Anyway, I just record a minute of audio and I email it off to a couple of Gmail addresses on Wednesday or Thursday. And where does it go from there? Who can say?
They're just building an AI database with your voice.
Yeah, that's
and
right. They're just
gonna
training.
slowly replace you.
Yeah. Fine, great.
They're just going to launch a machine learning powered version of this website. They're just training all of our voices.
That's fine.
No.
That's fine. Just
through a neural net.
Can I get a licensing fee
wait a
for
minute.
my voice?
Yeah, if we just charge licensing fees, then okay.
I feel like this company already controls too much of my likeness as it is legally. So
yeah. Well, hopefully everybody had a safe and sane holiday.
It was definitely safe.
An extremely safe and incredibly sane holiday
that
weekend.
part.
It was both of those. Yeah.
it was. Yeah, I don't. So having a baby turns that whole thing around. And I suppose it's what you get for me spending most of my youth thinking we should blow up most of this neighborhood. And now, now it's like, oh God, the next one of these is going to wake this baby up. It's like I'm watching, it's like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It's not even dark. And just, shit's blowing up. And I'm looking at this baby monitor and just watching this baby jolt around every time there's a loud noise and not quite waking up, but moving around enough to where you're like,
She got good rest.
yeah, she ended up not actually waking up all the way from any of it, but
That's good.
still an incredibly stressful couple of days.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This is like your purgatory for every
sure.
M80 that you set off in your youth. Is another day of stressing over your child waking up.
Then it's never going to end. Like there's a rich history of. I had a roommate some time ago that at some point he got it in. I don't even know if I should say. At some point he got it in his head, just like, I'm just gonna go get some black powder and some cannon fuse, and like I'm just gonna get to work.
No, I know the feeling. Yeah.
and suddenly, and suddenly, I wake up one day and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I built some stuff. Like, oh, okay. Well, let's go throw this out of a moving car then, I guess. That's
There may have been like a lot of black powder at a place I used to work at, just sitting around at one of the warehouses.
The cupcake shop.
What's that?
The cupcake shop?
Cupcake shop. Yeah. And then, I thought like, well, they won't miss this thing because this looks like it's been here for years. It's fun times, loud times though.
Yeah.
Aluminum garbage cans are great.
oh yeah. So are sewer drains.
Any mailboxes? Isn't that something people do?
If you want to really destroy stuff, sure.
There's probably some like shrapnel potential there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That's probably not the best of ideas. But if you wanted to like take like a Piccolo Pete, a Whistler, something like that, throw that in a mailbox, it's just going to destroy the inside of that mailbox and make it gross. But boy, it'll sure be loud and weird.
I don't know.
Storm drains are always fun though if you want to like ruin an entire block's day.
Oh my goodness.
Because it'll just echo and reverberate through the entire underground sewer system, and so everyone standing near a storm drain for like 2 blocks in any direction, what the fuck? Like, and so that's that was always pretty cool.
My friends were obsessed with throwing fireworks into 2 liters and then throwing those 2 liters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are great.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do my neighbor used to make chemical bombs with 2 liter? So
that sounds illegal.
What kind of chemicals?
I forget it. Sorry, what was it, Jan?
Was it with dry ice?
No, it was God. It was. I might be messing this. It's like something like like not Drano, but like some kind of cleaning chemical.
Borax
and like aluminum foil. I want to say there's some reaction. I mean, it basically just builds up pressure in there until it explodes in a geyser of probably hazardous material.
There's too many people in our chat saying Drano and tinfoil.
I think that's what it was. That's totally what it was. Yes.
Me and my cousin tried to make napalm once. It was like, what was it? You took like a Downy, you took like liquid Downy and you dissolved. It's like liquid Downy and gasoline, and you dipped a bunch. You put styrofoam into it, and the styrofoam would dissolve, and it would just thicken up into. You wanted a paste that would splat and burn. Mm-hmm. And we
Something
never
sticky.
we didn't have the patience. It seemed like you had to wait for that to happen a lot longer than we did in an afternoon and go like, this isn't napalm. Let's just set it on fire.
I think we screwed up. We're supposed to like falsify all these recipes, right? Like change one ingredient so we can't.
It's all peanut butter, actually.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
The Anarchist Cookbook audio version.
Brought to you by.
Yes. Brought to you by your offer code, Bombcast.
We recommend everyone listening to this podcast stay inside and play video games and do not go outside and blow things up.
I will say, like,
Yeah.
that stuff. We never got very far with it, and I would say, don't waste your time with most of that shit because it's just not worth it.
Yes.
For a
It's a
lot of
cheap
reasons.
thrill.
Also, I feel like for as much as that was always frowned upon, they probably frowned upon it a lot more these days
You think?
Sure.
than they did in, let's say, the late 80s / early 90s.
Yeah. So maybe a different tenor to
Yeah.
the public experience.
You could get away with some stupid shit
Yeah.
that you kind of can't
Yeah.
do shit like that anymore.
Yes. All right.
Much like caller ID ruined the casual prank call.
It's just a never-ending.
9/11 is the caller ID of
Oof.
blowing shit up. Is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Now that we have an episode title in the bag, why don't we
No,
move on?
you can't put 9/11 in an episode title, Brad.
Just kidding. Yeah. Speaking of staying indoors over holiday weekend, did you guys play any video games? Actually, I know you played
That's
some.
where we're going with this.
Let's just talk about Hyper Scape. I want to talk about. You can talk about that, right? That's like a public-ish beta.
Yeah. They
A
did
technical
their
test.
they did their Twitch drops thing and announced it. And
I hate that. That's
feel
just
like
the way things are going now. Apparently.
well, you got to build engagement, right? You got to be able to.
I was trying to get a drop for a while just on the first day, and it was actually really handy because it forced me to watch the game, and I learned a lot more than if I went in blind, which was, I don't know, it was an interesting idea because I bet the same thing happened for Valorant where like people who were watching and waiting and trying to get codes like came in with a fairly basic understanding of the game, and you're watching a streamer play who's breaking it down and the technical side of it.
How long did it take you to get one? Because it took me like less than 10 minutes. I
eventually got a code.
I hit my drop down and went like, oh, apparently I got one 10 minutes ago, and okay.
I had a stream open all day and I didn't get one. I eventually got a code directly.
So I just kind of got it and fired it up without knowing too much about it other than seeing that initial trailer and all that other stuff. This will sound harsh.
Okay.
And won't make it's not a perfect analogy because Apex is also a free game, but it's like someone made a free-to-play version of Apex Legends. It's like if Tencent made Apex Legends. It's like the whole thing comes across like, hey, we wanted to kind of, and when you get into it, I think it has more depth than that, and like it had the hacks and different abilities and stuff. But at first glance, the weapon models and a lot of that look, I just looked at it and was just like, geez.
It's like somebody made a free-to-play version of an already free-to-play game. It's like
Really?
some
Like
of the
that was
harshest
my-
criticism.
Yeah, that like my first impression of it was like, man, y'all really wanted to make a post Apex Legends Battle Royale game, didn't you?
Let me ask real fast before you get into it. I watched the reveal trailer. Did you guys see that? Like, it is bursting at the seams with like attitude in the form of first-person animations of like flipping guns around and like doing.
It's a lot of.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is that all in the game, or is that stuff they genned up for that reveal trailer? Like,
when you change weapons, like the weapon will materialize in the air and like gravitate into your hand in a lot of cases. I think that it probably depends on the weapon.
Okay.
Or I don't know what the animation is, but like it's a lot of like gun dematerializing, new one materializing, catching it, like those types of animations.
Like, does that stuff get in the way of the gameplay, or is it just kind of
No, because it's just like it takes the same amount of time that
Okay.
it would take for a model to drop and come back up in any other shooter. It's
Okay.
not some slow thing. It seems like it has some neat ideas, but I honestly I didn't have any fun with it.
I really liked I liked the look right out the gate. I thought it was going for something, very like future-y, like I get the Apex comparisons, but for me it's way more like sci-fi. The gun design is way different. It's like weird future tech weapons. Like this is a weird cannon that shoots an orb and the orb explodes, whereas most of Apex's stuff is like a shotgun.
Is the shock rifle? Could you do shock combo with it?
It honestly, I don't know. I'm speaking out of turn here because I'm not a Quake expert, but the movement to me feels a little reminiscent of a Quake. It's very like you move fast. The slide is different.
Didn't I see a lot of jump pads in that trailer?
There's a lot of bouncing.
There's jump pads, so it does have like a Quake 3 jump pad sort of thing.
I like the look.
I think specifically it's like some of the, like that main assault. There's that main assault rifle that I think looks a lot like the R201. And like there's just weapons here and there that you just look at and go like these look like they could have fallen out of Apex. But you're right, they're like the big, like the heavy chain gun-ish looking thing that seemed to be the thing that they were nerfing as of yesterday, I think. It's got a different look to it. But yeah, first glance was just like, geez, Cyberpunk Apex was my first impression.
It's a lot more urban, isn't it, than Apex?
It's like a big city.
It's a big city.
That's my biggest complaint with the game, at least visually. But so it does an interesting thing where it's teams of 3 right now only, and it splits it out so everyone's people are equally dropping from the corners. So you like randomly are like, I'm in like 1/4 of the people are in the southeast corner, 1/4 of the people are in the southwest corner. So there's not like a drop ship and you drop. So you're kind of dropping from a different direction every time.
And you can drop anywhere you want. Like you can fly straight in your drop pod and get anywhere on the map you want to. But the catch is that the longer you're up there, the more people are down there getting guns.
But my big issue with it is, aside from like a few large buildings that are distinct, a lot of it is very samey. It's a lot of very similar architect. The game has a real verticality to it. It's all about like getting on top of buildings fast, and like your fight goes into a building and you're running up and down. So a lot of the like filler buildings all kind of look the same. They're just like very kind of square architecture, and dropping down, it's like, so one of the coolest parts to me about a battle royale is like figuring out your favorite spots to drop. Sure. And this just kind of was like, I don't know, this gray building or that green building. They color coded a little bit the different areas, and the way it works is it's not a circle closing. It's like different areas just kind of disintegrate. So that'll let you know like, oh, I need to get out of these red buildings and into an area with green buildings because this area is like about to disintegrate or whatever. But I don't know.
What was the game? Was that what was the game that was all in the snow and there was like a DM type player that was like controlling things? Because that was the same type deal. It was like sectors would close off. It wasn't.
What was that called?
Anyway, that thing.
It's not a new idea.
Yeah. I think that they do break out of that architecture for like their main areas. So like when you see all the names on the map, there's some that are like larger locations that are meant to be like, hey, these are the kind of more designed spots, and so you'll find like a train station with some trains in it, and
like a power
and stuff like
station
that.
Or whatever. Yeah.
But like they do this thing, and I don't know why, and it's weird. And I didn't play a ton of it just because I was like bounced off it super quickly. But they put up these barriers, these there are no, it doesn't seem like there are openable doors per se.
No,
it's just like there's a shield type texture like over a window doors. Like this orangey kind of thing, and you have to shoot it or hit it with your melee weapon to cause it to disintegrate and open up. And so I guess that's like then tactical because you have to make some kind of noise to open that area. But I found myself always in this situation. I was like, well, I don't want to spend ammo, and now I have to hold down the weapon switch button to, like I said, on a keyboard, probably a little different. And then change to melee to break it down, and then change back.
You should map a melee button. It's
can you do that? Because it didn't. Because I tried on controller like most of the time, and then switched to keyboard when to see if that was any better.
I think it defaulted actually. I had one on mouse button that was just like automatically assigned.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because on controller it doesn't seem like it is, because it has a like the click in the right stick, which would kind of be your default melee in a lot of these types of shooters, is the ping. Is like the hey, ping a weapon, ping a thing button. So yeah, like that whole thing of like having a direct melee button kind of mitigates a lot of that, because instead it was like I have to switch to this and do this and then switch back, and that seemed clunky. But also just like the idea of like, hey, these aren't necessarily doors per se. So I found myself running up to a lot of doors and being like, oh right, none of these open. And I thought that was kind of dumb. I don't know. It's just the cool thing about it, I think, are the hacks, and the way they handle kind of different tiers of weapons. Like basically, if you have a weapon and find the weapon again, you pick that one up and your weapon levels up to tier 2.
That's kind of
and
cool.
up to like tier 4 or whatever.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you know, instead
And
of
there's
like
always
here's
like a
legendary or
bonus thing at max tier.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah,
It's
it'll
kinda
usually
cool.
be like increased mag size, and then the top end, for a lot of the guns, will end up being like now it does a little bit more damage, or something like that.
Is it hero based?
No.
No.
Oh no.
You choose a character, but it's basically like, what accent do you want to hear?
Oh
Yeah.
Huh. So no inherent like special abilities.
No, so the special abilities you pick up, and
Okay.
you have 2 slots for abilities, and there are a lot of them, and that
There's
seemed
a
like
lot.
kind of the cool thing. And,
Some of them are
and-
pretty basic, you know, like heal or shield, but then some of them get pretty wacky. Like you're just in a giant hamster ball and you can bounce around
Oh.
in this giant hamster ball.
I feel like
like
that's like
Overwatch
the
style,
thing that,
or
I mean, kind of. It's just like a big ball, you know,
yeah.
and you
It's a
like
little more
jump. You can
bouncy.
jump super high out on it.
Um,
There's like a ground pound that'll knock enemies into the air, and then you can kind of shoot them out of the air. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the ball is like the most visually distinctive thing that you look at and go like, okay, this seems to be what they're going for.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that kind of made it stand out as a little bit different.
I agree. I think they should lean into that stuff more and just
Yeah,
have
for
wackier
sure.
abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah, and same type deal. If you find 2 of the same ability, it'll reduce the cooldown on it, and so on and so forth. Which I think that's a really smart way to handle it, because then like if you're like at a tier 3 and then you kill somebody and they drop another one, it's not like, oh, this one's worse than the one I have. It's like, oh, this will always feed into kind of propping me up a little bit higher. And I thought that was kind of a neat way to go with it. They rolled out a solo mode over the weekend.
Oh, good.
But it's called Dark Haze. And I just kind of wanted to get used to just shooting guns and getting in encounters. And playing on teams was a frustrating. Playing on random teams was frustrating because there is a revive mechanic, but no one was doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And so it was like every time I went down, it was like, well, now I'm going to wander around for 2 minutes and hope that, as a ghost, and hope that someone revives me. And it just never happened. And
I
so it
actually
was
like that
man,
mechanic
fuck.
when it works. I mean, I was playing with other people for most of it, but then I played a few games by myself. And basically,
Yeah.
the way it works is like you have to be revived at the site where somebody else dies. So if there's a big fight, you kind of, if your team wins, it's easy to like, okay, I'm going to just hop back where I die, wait for my teammate to revive me, and I'm back. But like, if you guys lose a fight, you have a chance to kind of like have the one person run away, and then it'll show you the nearest one just on the map. You can see like, okay, there's one like 200 meters
Like a
that way.
respawn point, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and you run at it and then res there. But then there's like an element of it that we found where like sometimes people would camp those out and just like wait for people to come and try and revive. And I thought it's the most interesting take on like reviving in a battle royale I've seen. Because like
Yeah.
the Apex stuff is pretty straightforward. It's like you bring your guy to a beacon and then revive them. But
Which at that point, it was like the very idea of like, hey, you can respawn was like, whoa. Yeah. So that, I think that's, yeah. And
I do like that-
I didn't realize that it was like where people died that caused those things to spawn. I thought it
Yeah.
was just like some set areas around the map that would do it. That's interesting.
And I do really like you keep your full like range of movement when you're dead. Like you can do the slide, you can do the double jump and stuff. It's not just like a lot of times when you die and are a ghost in a game, you can just like walk and you're like this is
And
shitty,
you can
I'd rather
still
just
you can
live.
still ping, so you can still kind of call out enemies, or I guess if you're on voice chat, you're on voice chat. But you know, you can still kind of call out to your teammates like, hey, there's a guy camping me right now,
Yeah.
so we're fucked.
It has some good context sensitive pings. Like if you ping near an enemy, it'll be like a red exclamation mark or you know, stuff like that. I really like the movement in this game. It's so snappy. You got that slide that gives you a nice boost of speed, which was in Apex, but like this is even in Apex, it was really only good if you're like going downhill and then slide. Like then you could kind of really move. In this, like you'll just see good players like run, jump, slide, jump, run, jump, slide, jump, and you can just like book it across the map.
Yeah, I mean, Hyper Scape, you know, it's a city, so it doesn't really have hills, you know,
Yeah.
like it didn't really find any like huge slopes like Apex has. There's some stuff like that here and there, but yeah, it's so the Dark Haze mode you play alone, but it like it lowers visibility, so it puts a bunch of fog on the map. I thought the fog looked kind of rough, but yeah. I don't know. So I tried that thinking like, okay, if I don't have to worry about sticking with teammates and trying to hope that I get revived or that I revive them or whatever, maybe I'll at least get like some more time in with the guns. and like some of the abilities, like there's like a homing mine that seemed like a neat idea. You know, you kind of plant down, if anyone gets near, it'll start to head in their direction, and little stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that you're kind of making me want to go back to it, because honestly, the movement didn't stand out at all to me. The run, jump, slide stuff, the slide didn't seem great when I tried it. Like the jump pads seem okay. You have a double jump, and so you can kind of hit a jump pad and then double jump to limit the height of it if you're like, oh, I want to get into this middle window or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that seemed kind of neat, but yeah, I don't know. The movement didn't really stand out. So I don't know. The tech test ends tonight, so got about 12 more hours to fuck around with it.
And then it's just gone for a while?
Yeah. They're going to do it in phases, it sounds like. So
problem with was getting used to the time to kill, because it's just way higher. I felt like
the weapons feel weak to me. I felt like it just
unless you had a fully upgraded weapon, I felt like it was, especially because it's so maneuverable and it's so easy to get away, and there's so many buildings that you can like slide into one fairly unseen, that I had trouble. Like I would get a kill now and then, but like in Apex, which even that has a relatively high time to kill compared to like PUBG or Call of Duty. Even in that one, like if there's an encounter, like a 3-on-3 encounter, most likely one team is going to win that encounter and kill the other 3 players. In this one, I had tons of fights that would be like, okay, there was a fight and then one person died and everyone ran away, because like it's just so hard to kill somebody and impossible to chase them down unless you had a scan available or something like that.
Yeah, Hyper Scape's a weird name. It's a weird, I don't know. It's a weird game. I don't know. I guess I did not expect Ubisoft to just kind of stealth drop a battle royale.
Yeah, is this the first big battle royale since Apex? I'm trying to think if
Ring of Elysium seemed like it was going to maybe be big there for about an hour and a half before everyone got scared and uninstalled it.
I don't even remember who.
Warzone came after that.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. So Modern Warfare is the last.
Sure.
The last.
Of course, even they had done Blackout before that, so they had even taken a stab.
You're right. You're right. But like this is, I would say Warzone is so dramatically different from Blackout.
Obviously.
But
I mean, like sort of like brand new contenders trying to throw their hat in the ring. Like,
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's unexpected for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It did not. It didn't grab me.
Yeah. I mean, I'll try it more.
I want to try it a little bit more tonight. Maybe now that you're the way you're talking about the movement makes me want to kind of just get back in and move around a little bit more and see what's up. But
I would love to see more, like we were saying, more creativity when it comes to like the guns and the weapon or the skills and stuff. I want them to get like really weird with that stuff, and I could see them doing it like, start out with some grounded stuff so that people can come into it if they've played like Call of Duty or whatever. It's like, okay, I can pick up this assault rifle, I can pick up this shotgun, I understand these weapons, but then like slowly over the course of it, roll out some weirder stuff.
Yeah.
One last question from chat before we move on. They want to know what they call the chicken dinner.
I haven't won.
I don't know.
Seen it on a stream or anything?
Yeah, no.
All right.
I did see, I forget what it was, but I did see somebody win. They had the wall upgrade. You can basically build a wall, and you can build a wall on top of the wall. And when you build the wall, it puts you on top of the wall. And they got to the last area and just built up and up and up and up. And they were just at the top of the skybox looking down, and the people on the ground died before they did, and they won.
Oh, is there any fall damage?
No. I want to say no.
I don't think
like
there is.
Roof, so I'm assuming not anywhere.
Okay.
A couple people in the chat said a victory is called the Crown or Crown Champion or something like that.
Oh, right. They call it like they kind of build it as a like virtual reality game show competitive thing called Crown Rush. So yeah, that makes sense.
Crown Rush.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I'm with you from last week that Prisma Dimensions would have been a way better name. I don't know if that shows up in the game at all.
It's like a corporation that is putting on the game, I think is what it is. But you see a Prisma logo here and there. But also Prisma Dimensions, I don't think evokes.
Yeah, maybe not.
Prisma Rush.
Sure. That would be a little.
What if it was a battle royale entirely inside the computer?
I think that's kind of.
I think what it is.
They talk about you hooking up through some kind of B link, which I think it means butt. It's like some kind of.
Well, that's where the data port is.
A diaper with a tube.
It's the best place to take your temperature.
Exactly. So yeah, it is a virtual thing. Like the first thing you do is they're like, choose which character you want to be your avatar or whatever, like, so they're pretty much on the surface saying this is some kind of VR.
Would you guys
thing.
have liked this more if it was just framed in the world of the 90s cartoon Reboot?
Yeah, probably.
No.
Yeah, that goes for most things, though.
Yeah.
Reboot is terrifying.
What?
Reboot gave me nightmares as a child.
Well, what if you could gun down 99 other
As
reboots?
long as I don't have to look at my 3 poly hands, then I'm fine.
I mean, you're just
It
holding
would
the
be
gun,
out of
so-
control. It'd be great.
Yeah, looking at some images of Reboot, I guess I could see how it might be a little creepy.
I was somehow
not
fine
fair.
with Beast Wars, which I feel like was equivalent
Oh,
level of.
God.
Oh, come on, Bat.
Was
Beast
it better?
Wars is disgusting and an
was better.
affront. On top of that, Beast Wars is it's like watching a crime be committed. It's like, God, just
There was
Ugh.
Cheetah Man. That was cool as hell. Cheetor.
God, now I'm being reminded that later on in Reboot they had the little kid grow up and become some
Enzo?
super tough super soldier.
Yeah,
Is there
his
a time
eye was
travel
gone.
thing there?
Yeah, there's a time skip.
how about a battle royale set in the world of Xavier Renegade Angel?
There we go. Now I'm in.
Something that matters.
No, it looks good. It matters.
I feel like I've been hearing a lot about Gunfire Reborn.
That's
from-
right.
from
The
some-
other kind of
Yeah.
shooter you can make in 2020. Not a battle royale, a roguelite.
like from you guys and just kind of around.
Yeah,
Seriously,
I've heard
getting
it
that
around,
word-of-mouth
too.
treatment.
Seeing that name pop up a lot.
Because it came out in May, late May, and has just been slowly spreading.
And it's still in early access, so
Yeah.
it's it's been going. But yes, it's a run-based roguelite thing with like a rogue legacy style currency that you earn along the way that you take back and spend on a skill tree that is a more permanent series of upgrades.
What are some of
you
the upgrades?
You play as a
Right.
cat.
Or a dog.
Or a dog. Okay, yeah, you got to unlock the dog when you hit talent level 30.
Wait, there's a town?
Talent level
Oh,
30.
talent. I thought you said
Yeah.
town level 30. Oh,
No. What are some of the upgrades? It's
So there's multiple trees. There's an ammo tree that's you get more and better ammo. There's a unique tree to the character, and that'll be tied to your skills. Like every character, or I guess both the characters have an active ability. The cat you start out with shoots this orb out that when it hits enemies, it will kind of lock them in place. The dog's ability is to dual wield both of your main weapons. So upgrades to that, and then just general HP, shield stuff. But then it gets more interesting the further down you go, where
Okay, good.
you can get a skill that lets you revive allies and not die while you're reviving people. Or
right, because it can be 4-player co-op.
Yeah.
I've only played it alone, but yes.
I saw the smoke grenade can kind of be used as a support class of sorts.
Yeah,
That seemed really neat.
So that's one of the cool things about it is since it's it kind of it plays like a Borderlands kind of vibe, but also you have a floaty jump. The guns are the thing. Random guns will have, or the guns will have random traits tied to them, bonus crit damage, elemental damage is a big deal in this game. And then you can actually combine elemental damage. So if you have one dude hitting with poison and another dude hitting with burning, it'll create a new element that does even more damage and stuff. But then there's upgrades you can pick up that will boost your grenade, and the cat's is a smoke grenade, and you can have it basically change from instead of it'll deal 50% less damage, but it'll blind foes, or it'll do more damage but not do any elemental damage and stuff.
Or
like
if you're standing in the smoke grenade, it will give you you'll take less damage.
bonus,
There's a lot of different things like that you can find along the way. Since it's kind of run based, you're gonna maybe you never know kind of what you're gonna find.
Yeah. And those can also be upgraded multiple times, so you can stack them. So one of the most basic ones is your orb gets a second shot, and then your orb gets a third shot, and then the last upgrade will be your orb gets 4 shots and does something else. And so you're encouraged to kind of early on kind of figure out what your build is going to lean towards and then focus in on that. I like it. I saw somebody describe it as the gaming equivalent of eating a bag of potato chips, where it's you're just there, you're shooting guys. Like, to me, that's kind of like what Borderlands was. You know, it's just like, it's a very like, it's not, you know, wow, this is crazy and great, and then like, oh, it's just a very kind of consistent, like, I'm having a good time shooting these guys.
It's like a lot of the enemies, especially early on, a lot of the enemies have slightly larger than normal heads, and you're just like lining up headshots and going like, yeah, I'm
really good
knocking these
headshot
guys
sound
over,
too.
and good headshot sound. You're just
Not
like,
not thinking too hard, just kind of.
nope. Just going through and going like, oh, this gun's weird. It's basically the lightning gun from Quake. That's crazy.
Okay.
Anyway, let's keep going. And, like this one does 3-shot burst, but it's like the third shot always crits. And
you start unlocking. There's like one of the skill tree things is you can every gun has unique talents tied to that gun, and so you can unlock those abilities, and those get even weirder. I feel like that's the first time I got one of the gun's unique abilities was just like, okay, now it's starting to, because it also does the thing of like, once it has certain milestones you need to hit, like kill 30 of this enemy, and once you do that, you unlock the ability to pick up this kind of gun. And so right out the gate, you get like, there's like 10 guns in the game maybe, and I was a little underwhelmed, honestly, because I saw like the Borderlands comparison thrown around a lot. But it's one of those things as you play, you unlock the ability to get more and more of these guns, more and more of these abilities, and that's when it starts to kind of escalate.
it's neat.
Yeah.
There's a kitty.
Yeah. He's got
I
like
gotta
a
say,
little,
I'm not super in love with the look of the game.
Okay.
yeah.
It's a lot of it has the vibe of like enemy statues come to life, at least at the outset.
My biggest fear.
Like they kind of have that look as they're kind of materializing and all that. And like it's okay.
It's up to 4-player co-op, or
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got matchmaking. Like you have to hit level 10 before you can matchmake with randos. I did it once or twice, and it was honestly a pretty good experience both times. Like I had somebody on mic for one of them, and they were like kind of like, so there will be kind of portals you can find in the world, which will take you to like bonus challenge rooms. And then I didn't even know, like in those rooms, sometimes there's even more like hidden stuff. There's a lot of like environmental puzzles and stuff you wouldn't know just kind of going through blind. Like I had the guy actually be like, hey, come over here and look, you can go through this thing and it leads to a bonus chest or whatever, which is pretty neat.
You bring all your unlocks in to multiplayer?
Yeah. It's tied to your character level.
I might have...
Yeah, you know, I could see it getting a little repetitive once you beat it, and I've gotten through 2 of 3 bosses. I think there are 3 bosses, maybe 4. So I feel like I've gotten about halfway through at 10 hours. And obviously, like, there's a huge skill tree and another character that I haven't even really gotten into. So I feel like it kind of has a realistic ending point, which I'm honestly into. Like, I don't need my roguelites to go on forever and ever. I'm happy like beating it after 20, 30 hours or whatever and waiting for big content updates.
I mean, it's like $10, right?
Yeah.
Also, the English in it is pretty rough. The translation
from a Hong Kong developer, and yeah, you can definitely use a pass.
Yeah, a lot of the text is pretty rough.
I saw some that wasn't even translated.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't bother.
Early access.
Early access.
No.
Yeah,
Early
Gunfire
access.
Reborn. It's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how that other character plays, and if it's different enough, I'm down to give it a lot more time. But you know, we'll see. I had a friend reach out and offer to run me through. He's like, "Yeah, me and my friends all got to level 50 in like a week, and blah blah blah." And I think they went like super hard on that, but it sounds like an end is obtainable.
Okay.
Cool. Also, you just reminded me that Rogue Legacy 2 is out in 2 weeks. Which,
yes.
Wow.
yeah, I'm just going to keep mentioning that every week until that comes out.
I hope that's good.
Will it?
Yeah, me
into
too.
existence?
It looks good.
I like the art style a lot. It looks like a... I'm glad they didn't just do more pixel art. It's got a little bit more of a painted look to it. Isn't that launching in early access, though?
Like anything else.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I
Probably.
guess, but I don't think the first one did not, though. So I don't know how much will actually... Yeah, it is.
It was a different time.
It is going to be early, yes. You could say that.
I'm asking the question: is it coming to Switch?
I think it's just Steam right now because it's early access. I would guess it'll not hit console till it's done. Probably.
Yeah,
Wow.
probably.
That's my guess.
What if it comes to the Vita?
Oh, they should totally do that. I
That
played
and Spelunky 2 should come to Vita.
I played Rogue Legacy 1 on my Vita. I synced my progress back and forth between PS4 and Vita. That was something you used to be able to do.
Transfarring, they called it.
Yes, I transferred with the best of them. Jan, since I started soliciting a list of people's games before this show, do you want to talk about Troubleshooter? I looked it up on Steam, and I can't remotely tell what kind of game it is.
So I'm still very, very early in. I saw a couple folks talking about it in while I was streaming once. It's basically anime XCOM.
Okay.
I think I see there's art in here of anime future cops eating ramen, from what I can tell.
Yeah. So the world of Troubleshooter. It's funny that this is another game that's been in early access for what it seems like forever, and I think it's recently come out of that and officially released this past April. Only an hour-ish in, and it's almost exactly like XCOM. You have you're put into the world of Valhalla, where troubleshooters or vigilantes that the cops cooperate with. So it's a little weird already. You're given a group of these troubleshooters, all with different abilities, but pretty much it kind of boils down to the same Overwatch formula of handling missions and stuff, except the troubleshooters aren't your standard soldiers with guns and stuff. They have swords and different abilities, so the developers play with that formula a little bit, but the in-between stuff where it's all story has kind of been very riding the lines of being heavy. It's anime, so it's riding the lines of being anime and trying to be funny, and I've had an okay time with it so far. I just think it's going back to the XCOM formula is a little hard sometimes because of the different percentage chances of not being able to, or not. It's not as snappy, and then I wound up immediately re-downloading Into the Breach and then having a great time with that because of how fast the encounters are. But I'll try plugging in a couple more hours and seeing maybe there's more story focused than anything else.
Is there chat's asking if there's permadeath on the characters? Is it that kind of hardcore?
There's different difficulties, but based off of how I just went with normal, so I don't know if you can. There is permadeath with the story characters. You do go into some missions with random soldier characters, so I'd imagine you could just lose those guys because they're a little bit expendable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is it based on an anime or?
I don't think so. It's from a
original
Korean
characters?
developer, so there
Okay.
may be a property in Korea that I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
It looks, someone's saying it looks like it's very heavy on the visual novel stuff.
Yeah, I thought that's what that game was for the first 8 screenshots until I saw
Yeah.
actual game.
And it's been an okay XCOM clone so far with a dash of anime.
A little bit goes a long way,
Yeah.
I would say. Jeff, you want to talk about Golf on Mars? Is that
A little bit.
Is that the new desert golfing?
It's the new desert golfing. It's been nice to. It's like a few bucks. It has been nice to just get some desert golfing style action in. You can put spin on the ball, and the environment is way can get way weirder.
Is that the new thing?
And it will have, though occasionally you'll find boulders in the environment that if you hit it hard enough with your ball, you can knock stuff over. But that hasn't necessarily been something that's key to the experience. It's really just been more obstacles.
Oh, this launched on Steam.
Yeah, it's also on Steam.
I assumed it was mobile only.
It is also on Steam. I haven't tried it on PC, but it's nice. Also, it seems like you can keep going. It's not necessarily locked to one screen, so you can just, I don't know what happens if you just keep going to the right forever, if it eventually just says, oh, you didn't finish that hole and opens up a new one, or if you can just, I don't know what it does, but it looks like you can just kind of keep going to the right without actually solving the golf part. I don't want to do that because I don't want to get so far that I'm well, now I can't get back. But I don't know. There's a part of me that really wants there to be some big weird mystery in that game.
Sure.
As it is the follow-up to Desert Golfing, which kind of everyone thought was going to have one.
And doesn't?
The joy of desert golfing was you would go for 1,000 holes and then there'd be a river.
Yeah.
for one hole and be like, holy shit,
That's the
there's
secret.
water.
A river.
Yeah. So like, yeah. So honestly, like when I got to like the 30th hole in this case, and then suddenly there was a big boulder looking thing, I was like, what is this? Do I need to hit it to activate it? When I just like kept shooting the ball at it over and over again.
No, it's just a boulder.
And eventually I knocked it over and went like, okay. and then went on.
I somehow I have completely missed desert golfing and have never touched it. Is it just a 2D golf game? Like, is that that's kind of it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Okay.
It's just a persistent score over all holes.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the sort of thing that if it was like a always connected multiplayer game with everyone kind of playing at the same time, you could do some cool stuff around that. But but yeah, you can put topspin and backspin on the ball. And
What?
Yes, in Golf on Mars you can, which I didn't realize. Like I would go to take a shot and it would draw this little thing on screen that was meant to be an indicator of how you do the topspin backspin, which is take a second finger and drag it up or down to change the spin, and it shows the spin on the icon around your shot meter. But that didn't register until I read somewhere else, hey, you could put, like 2 days ago, saw that you could put spin on the ball, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what the fuck? And I started thinking about like, well, what are the ways I could touch this phone that would make it do that? And then went like this, went like, oh shit. So yeah, that's pretty good. Golf on Mars has been a nice relaxing before bed kind of game.
Okay, sure, I can see it. Also, it's like
Yeah.
$3,
Yeah, it's like $3,
which helps for sure.
Yeah.
Shall we do a quick Trackmania check-in before we?
Yeah, so it's out now.
Play Trackmania.
Oh. Was it
When we
not?
no,
Oh, that's right. It was like
came out,
about to come out.
Yeah, it came out on
Last week.
Wednesday. And so it's been out for just under a week now. It's been a messy launch.
I have no idea how to navigate that game, Jeff.
Yeah, it's my job to know how to navigate video game menus, and I still have trouble with it.
It's not, the menus are not great. It's a lot of stuff that I feel like I was able to intuit by virtue of having played a lot of previous Trackmania and understanding that like the underpinnings here are still the same, but they have tried to change the names and things of everything. And the menu design is terrible. And missing like a lot of stuff that you just look at and go like, okay, I guess I think the game's great. I think it's like one of the best Trackmanias they've made. I think it's great to have a new Trackmania and a central location that everyone should kind of gravitate towards, and not have to worry about like, well, which Trackmania 2 am I playing? Are we playing Lagoon? Are we playing Stadium? What are so kind of solving that. They've made the ability to put together like a server. They've put that into more players' hands by having the servers hosted on their back end if you so choose. But if you need to host your own dedicated server so you can have your own music plugins and all the other weird shit, you can still totally do that. So they found a way to kind of meet both needs. Like Trackmania Turbo, the last one they put out, was a console game. It just didn't have any of that weird PC only shit, even though it was on PC as well. And so it felt like this neutered experience in a lot of ways. This, they still allow you to do the dumb shit that you need to do to feel Trackmania in your soul, while also kind of bridging that gap in a way that like, lets people do it in a more reasonable fashion. But all the menus are terrible. They're all garbage. They have made the split between the different tiers of service available way too confusing. There's like zero onboarding. They have a bunch of tracks that they refer to as training tracks that like, yeah, they're showing you the different parts of the game, but at no point do they just pop up a window that says like, hey man, when you hit this boost strip, your car's going to fly, and here's how that controls. So you're just left to just do it over and over again and try to go like, that's how it flies here. But then, you get on some user track that exploits the flying stuff in a very specific way. And you're like, I have no fucking idea what to do here. And the game doesn't ever teach you. It doesn't hold your hand at any point. And I think they could have a more accessible game if they were just smarter about that type of shit. And instead it feels like they just didn't care at all about appealing to new people, and maybe that's what Trackmania Turbo was.
The tutorials, trying to like, I've never played Trackmania more than like 5 minutes of here and there, and so I'm going through the tutorials, which is like, okay, here's a normal track, here's a harder track, here's a track with some ice, and you're just like learning these new course layouts and stuff. And then I get to the one that kills your engine. There's like pads on the ground that when you drive over, you can no longer accelerate. And I just fuck it up, and I fuck it up, and I fuck it up over and over and over and over and over again. And I know that like not every track is going to have these, so I could just kind of skip over this, and then like if I find a track in the wild that has that, I'm fucked. Whatever, good game, move on to the next one. But it was really frustrating me that there was I couldn't watch a ghost do it. I couldn't watch like a tutorial on like, okay, you need to take this turn. Like I'm like, should I like skid into it? Like I tried everything I could think of for a solid like 15, 20 minutes. I was stuck on this one tutorial thing. It was like the fifth one.
And it's super easy. Like that's honestly, like that's not a hard thing.
Like once I figured out the trick, I did it and then did it again and got the gold.
If there was just like 2 sentences that said like, hey, here's, just keep going, don't hit a wall, keep going and keep holding down the gas. When you get to the next checkpoint, your engine will turn back on. Yeah. Like that sort of stuff, that type of loose explanation about what things do in the world would be plenty, but they don't even do that. And it's a shame because you just look at it and go like, man, like I feel like they've got a free version of the game here that, people could be checking out. And, that would go a long way to kind of helping players understand that sort of stuff. Cause it's like, there's even 2 types of boosters. So if you hit the booster up, your car basically glides and can be used to kind of fly-ish. It's not quite full flight, but there's also a booster down that lets you stick to the ground and you can drive up walls and drive upside down and all this other stuff. And, you spend enough time with that, you do figure out aspects of it and go like, oh, okay, here's how I use that for this specific track and this and that. But if they just explained it, that would be huge. Instead, it's a lot of people going like, well, what does the fragile block do when I drive over that? And the answer is when you hit walls or jump too much or anything like that, your car eventually breaks down when you're fragile. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff like that I think they could be better at explaining. They lost a bunch of records. I don't know how many, but like, on launch day, like they had a bunch of user records because the whole thing's one big leaderboard thing. And they've extended those leaderboards and ghosts and all this other stuff out to user created tracks and medals and all this stuff in a way that's like really great. It's really great. They've really enhanced the ability to compete across every single aspect of the game in a lot of cool ways. But yeah, they at some point they lost a bunch of times on day one because the launch was pretty rough. The game crashes here and there. It's it's just clunky. But like I think the worst part is like they don't do enough to get new players into the game, and also once you do get in, all the menus are garbage, and you don't quite know what you can and can't do. Like the question I keep getting asked is just like, well, is there a giant bomb server? The answer is yes. They're totally the unofficial classic server is available now, but I think it's currently because the dedicated server software is a little fragile and crashes. So I don't think it's like public. It's a private club only server, but anyone in the club tier can go join that club, which is called Believe, and then you'll have access to that server. The club tier is the high end tier. Oh, that is the standard tier is the $10 tier, and that lets you play whatever public, but you can't join a club in the standard tier. So if you have a club only event, then if you're in the standard tier, then you can't get in. The event the server might be public now. I don't know. It might have gotten set to public, and then at that point, standard players will be able to get on and play as well. And it has all the music and all that stuff, but last night it's crashing here and there. So it's not the server software, the dedicated server software and the mods are not quite there yet, which, hey, all that stuff's brand new. Like people are still porting their work over from the old Trackmania to get it to work. It's going to be bumpy on that aspect. Like that's not the end of the world. Like of
they
course,
are still charging money,
but that's not, but they don't make the mods. Like, if you're running a standard dedicated server without any of that stuff, it works fine. It's the people that are out there making
fine, Jeff.
It didn't crash.
But I mean for the authentic track.
Yeah, exactly. Experience. But if you want a music mod and you want all that other stuff, then yes, obviously, that's that stuff is maybe not quite there yet across the board. But yeah, it's a great game. I've been playing it every night. I will continue to play it every night.
It is really fun. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. Once I like got past the they're not going to show me how to do anything. I have to learn this all on my own barrier. It is really fun. I can't tell you the subtle differences between this and other versions of it, but Trackmania rules.
Yeah. It's still Trackmania. I mean, there are differences to it. And in some of the flight stuff and some of the different blocks there, but it's little stuff like and it's not like people are saying that people with standard access are able to find that unofficial classic server, so it is not set to private. But it's stuff like stuff that's kind of inherent to Trackmania and has been for a long time. Like if you are in the air and you hit the brakes, you will slow down in midair. Or if you let off the gas, even like you want to keep hitting the gas in the air. And that's something that like some tracks will demand that that, or demand that you hit the brakes at the right time because you want to go under a thing. And they don't tell you that. And they kind of, I don't know if they ever have. And it just seems like they could do a better job at kind of getting players in the front door. And for a game that was delayed and for a game that is building on a lot of past Trackmania games, it feels like it's missing a lot of stuff. And honestly, you can't customize your horn. They took that out.
Oh, no.
And so the default horn noise is garbage. It's this weird fart, like just like you barely hear it. And it's crazy. Like the Trackmania horn
the game, then?
is iconic. Even though the horn I used was never the default horn. It's the horn. It's the horn that matters. And it doesn't. It's just weird.
Is there like another tier that they haven't announced yet?
I don't know. Let me know where I need to send the money to make so it feels like it's missing a lot of stuff. And they have, they've talked about plans to support it down the line, obviously, because they're selling years of service and all this other stuff. And they have quarterly campaigns and stuff that they want to do down the line. But I just feel like day one, here's Trackmania. Because even when it launched, it still had it still had all the old Trackmania menus buried deep in it. And you'd load it up and go like, oh, why is the custom horn thing disabled? And their patch, which is like, oh, okay, they patched. Okay, hopefully this will be the thing that fixes it and I can set a custom horn. No, the patch just removed the menu that showed where the custom horn option was. And you're just like, what the fuck are we doing?
It's the dawn of a new era. I think you got to break it all down to build it back up again.
Right. It's. I feel like a Madden player. Right. When new consoles come out,
take all the features
they
away.
removed 80% of the game. Yeah.
So that you feel like they're doing you a favor when they put them back in.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah. So it's weird little stuff like that all over the place that you're just like, man, this seems like it could have gone smoother. But the core of it is sound. The core of it is absolutely solid. And so I think they've got a really good place to build from here. But yeah, that server's out there. And I think the pricing on it, the pricing structure that they've set for it, I think is somewhat sensible, even if they have done a bad job of describing the differences between the tiers. I think that standard tier gets you, 95% of what you would want. That said, I bet when they do put horns in, because they've put a lot of you can't apply skins to your car unless you're on the expensive version. And so I bet when and if the time comes to have custom horns, I bet you will have to have gone with the club version of the game to get that. That's my guess.
Good guess, I think.
Yeah. We'll see.
Just horn haves and horn have-nots.
Yeah.
It's just the way things go. All right. Video games. What do you say we take a quick break before we come back talk about some more stuff? All in favor?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, this is the part of the show where traditionally we talk about news, and this is not 100% confirmed, but apparently they're making a new Tron?
Oh,
I saw
Talk
that.
to me.
They've been in development on a new Tron for a long time.
Some hardcore Disney fan site reported that it's like happening.
Yeah.
Happening. Last I heard it was happening, but then it was not happening.
No,
now it's happening.
It's been in development for a long time. Now they're going around saying that maybe Jared Leto
was supposedly
could be in it.
Fuck that.
Well, good.
man.
And that they're hoping that the director of Tron Legacy and the Daft Punk
That's all I care about.
would potentially return.
Even if I never see that movie, if I just get another Daft Punk score out of it, I will be perfectly happy.
Yeah. I think Jared Leto could fit into the Tron universe in some way. He has that.
Just don't put him in movies anymore. He's a cult leader creep asshole. What? Yes.
What?
Yeah. He has a cult on his own private island.
What?
And then he tweeted just came back from my private island cult. He didn't say cult, I'm sure. But it was like, whoa, this COVID stuff sure is crazy, right? I was off the grid over with my island full of young
the grid,
women.
Huh?
Maybe, he's a method actor. Maybe that's what Tron 3 is going to be about. You're on an island leading a cult.
A digital island.
Oh.
Ugh.
Sign me up.
I like Tron Legacy, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Great soundtrack.
The soundtrack is amazing and it looks incredible. I don't, whatever other faults it has.
My favorite soundtrack that features Jeff Bridges' Sane Biodigital Jazz.
Man.
Wait, is that where that's from?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Boy.
I don't think it's on the. I don't know if that's on the soundtrack though. He says it in the movie.
He has a speaking song where he's like, and then he says, "In one day I got in," and the drop happens.
Yeah,
I thought that was the same song. He says,
same,
"Biodigital Jazz."
That's not the same speech. That's not
Okay.
the same speech. It's not the same speech.
Digital Frontier.
The grid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Give me some biodigital jazz hands and then we can move on.
It's like I need to move enough to trigger some kind of
you're doing it. You're doing it.
Like I need to.
We really got it going on. So I guess Jeff's on the grid now. So I guess we
God, it's like a light show.
Yeah. All right. Well, that news is both unconfirmed and also not really video game related. So let's get into the actual news.
They should make more Tron stuff. I mean, at the end of the day,
Right?
Yeah.
So they should do that.
I'd watch another Tron for sure.
Yeah.
All right. News. Here we are. 2K announced pricing for NBA 2K21 last week. And on the PlayStation...
Oh, it's a video game. It's $60. Yeah, that's how this works.
On the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, it will be $69.99.
What?
For the base version.
Oh, not nice.
For the base version, just on those consoles. It's still going to be $60.
Not the digital deluxe version?
No. So this is
Not the gold edition?
This is strange and confusing.
That's the
Not the
$100.
legendary
That's
edition?
$100.
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean the Mamba Forever edition?
Right, that one. Yep.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, we've been talking for a while. Like smart deliveries on the Xbox. Like sounds like Sony has basically the same policy, even though they don't have a nice name for it, which is basically that publishers can decide what they want to do about upgrading you to next gen versions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess it was only a matter of time before a publisher came along and made the shitty decision
And said no.
as opposed to the friendly one that everybody else has been
But
making.
there is an upgrade path, right?
There is, but that's where the Mamba Forever edition comes in. So basically, the upshot is if you buy NBA 2K21 on one of the current consoles, it's $60, and that's all you get. You do not get a free upgrade to the next gen versions, which they say are totally different and designed from the ground up for the next gen hardware, meaning that they feel justified in charging an extra $10 for that version. So you will buy the game again if you want that version on the new consoles, or you can get the $100 Mamba Forever edition and get a free upgrade. So
somebody had
mighty
to
long
pull the
time.
trigger at some point, and
Yeah.
companies have been pushing this boundary for quite a while. Offering digital upgrades, and the trend that I've been seeing a lot lately is you're not really getting much of an upgrade. When you're getting the digital deluxe version, you're getting a soundtrack, you're getting an art book, but you're paying $10 more. I think it's just been a way of grooming us into the new norm, as it were.
I think
with a higher price point.
Yeah, and it's especially I think it's especially egregious for this will probably feel different if every game for those platforms ends up being $70.
yeah.
But,
Well, so that's what this is kind of a precursor to, right? Or this at least starts the conversation about Jeff, I'm sure you remember, even I was several years into GameSpot at the time that the 360 came out, and wasn't Kodak the one that led that charge on moving to $60? Activision was out there saying all of our games are going to be $60 from the next generation. Just get used to it.
Yeah.
And that was a huge deal even then.
Yeah,
and it seems like it's probably on the cusp of happening again.
Yeah, I don't think that they would do this just like, hey, we think we can get away. But I guess like in a vacuum, taking the news as it is right now, and where this is the only game we know about that is doing this, it's especially egregious when you've got a game that is so microtransaction laden as NBA 2K has been. And they even say, like in their little chart they put out, it's like, hey, your currency and stuff will transfer from one generation to the next as long as you don't cross brands. Your 2K bucks or whatever the fuck they call them will go from Xbox One to Xbox Series X and PS4 to PS5. So I think that's the part that like feels like almost weird business in a sense with this game as well, because like at a certain point you want to get people in the door so that they start spending more money, and on to that end I feel like NBA 2K has been a game that has been $30 like months after release, weeks, very soon after release that price comes down, because they want to get people in the door and hopefully get them to transact on top of that. So bumping up to $70 creates a harder barrier there for people to get in the door, especially people who have just spent however many hundreds of dollars to buy a console. So I think that's a weird choice to make if they end up being the only ones that go to $70. But I think what we're seeing here is that this is probably how it's going to go, right? I mean,
there was a lot of discussion around the last like big flare up around labor practices. There was a lot of discussion that would kind of come back to the point that some publishers were out there saying like, well, you're paying $60 for this. Like, we can't. If you want to pay more for video games, then maybe there wouldn't be crunch and all this other stuff.
Which gonna fucking fix?
No, it's not.
It's not. It's not. At the end of the day, it's not. It might help. Like honestly, paying $60, like the rate at which video games have cost $60 versus inflation is actually like pretty crazy, because even movie prices have gone up, other stuff has gone up, but this is not like 2K being out there saying like, we're doing this for our developers and stuff like that. No, it's fucking 2K.
Yeah. I feel there are like two different conversations here, right? There's like the objective economics of like, what did $60 amount to in 2005 versus 15 years later? And then there's the much fuzzier conversation of how do these companies conduct their own internal business, right?
Yeah.
Like how do they treat their employees? Like, where is the money going, et cetera, et cetera? Like, those are kind of two different things. But I should mention before we get deeper into this that GamesIndustry.biz has a story where they talk to the head of IDG Consulting, who says that, sure enough, other publishers are also considering this move to a permanent $70 price point for new games.
It's not I feel like it's shocking when you first see it, because you're like, oh fuck, and you think about it for a while, you go, oh right, yeah, I guess they're gonna try to push this when a new platform comes around. And I don't know. I thought that they had found a happy medium along with all the digital, the collector's editions, all the other crap they sell in addition to the game. If you want the hot extra skins, you got to pay for this. We'll bundle in the season pass, and then on top of that, give you an extra few things. And I think probably, if I had to guess what their data shows, is that there's a number of players that will pay a price to play a game at launch, and then players who are more price sensitive who will wait for a sale. And the bump from 60 to 70 probably doesn't impact those launch day one numbers. Those players are probably still going to go like, well, I still want to play this at launch. I still need to be able to talk about it with my friends. I still want to do this. I still, they care enough about that aspect of this to just pay the extra $10. Yeah. And maybe you get a situation where those players don't go on to buy some collector's edition or something like that, assuming those prices go up another $10 on top of that. If they're paying $70 for more games, then maybe they end up saying like, oh well, I'm not going to go get some weird bad version of it or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense, that there's totally a class of game where this flies a little more easier. It's the sports games, it's like a Call of Duty, any sort of like franchise thing that is really popular with people who are like, I have to get the new version, like you were saying.
Yeah. And people are conditioned. I think the people that like to wait for sales are conditioned to wait for sales, and more often than not, with a handful of a few publishers that are really protective of their pricing, they get those sales. You know, like 2K, especially a sports game that's annualized like that. You know, like that is built, and who knows how this year will go. Just I guess they're going to try to play basketball someday. But like in with all that stuff going on, the idea of an annual sports game and stuff when the sport might not happen or is happening in a weird way probably disrupts that a little bit. But it was traditionally like, hey, when Madden comes out, it's full price. And like, as the football season wears on and people are like, all the people who were hyped about football bought the game already. At some point, you got to go like, hey, we got to blow these things out. And then at the end of the season, if you're trying to sell that game back used, you get like $1 for it because all the used game shops know that the next one's right around the corner. And they're like, no one's going to buy last year's fucking football game. And so those things just never held value to begin with. But like for stuff like Call of Duty, for stuff like, well, I was going to say Nintendo's games, but it's not like they're launching a console.
No,
So-
but that does make me wonder if this catches on, does Nintendo just quietly start moving all their first-party Switch games to 70 as well?
No, because weren't they the ones that like when was it on the 3DS that their games were traditionally $10 cheaper?
I guess that's but not so much on the Switch, right? Isn't everything 60?
No, not on the Switch. But so my point being, I don't think they would feel the need to go there, and I don't think third parties could necessarily get away with it on the Switch. We're seeing a lot more sales on consoles, like as they get more and more people to shift over to digital purchasing, they incentivize that by having more and more sales. It's not quite Steam, but I think we were talking about it last week, but it was like that idea of just like, hey, there are more. Here's the summer sale on the PlayStation Store. Here's the big Christmas sale on Xbox. I
feel like PSN in particular, I feel like is not quite Steam, but they're getting there, or they're pretty close. Like you'll see, like all of the big Sony first-party games of the last couple of years for like $15 during a lot of their sales. Like it's pretty big third-party games for like $5-8, stuff like that. Like it's not like in a world where that culture hadn't emerged across like all digital storefronts, this news would sting a lot more.
Totally.
But there's that like Game Pass, like
Game Pass,
there are at least other like better value propositions out there.
And there's a lot of different ways to get games now. And so everyone talks about their backlog. Everyone talks about how many games they're getting and not playing. I think probably that if you don't like paying $70 for games, don't.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as just don't. And send that message of just like, oh yeah, when you have a sale, I'll pick it up. But I've got all these games on Game Pass, or I've got all these games I bought in the last sale that I haven't touched yet, or something
I feel
like that.
Like that's the most common reaction I see to Steam sales these days is like, man, I wish there was something I still needed to buy because I have everything.
Right.
Now.
Yeah. That's a ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's the idea that people say that is nonsense. But the same games go on sale every Steam sale. So at some point, anything that you were going like, oh, I heard that was good, you fucking bought it already.
Yeah.
Probably bought it the last sale for 80% off for some dumb amount of money.
Yeah.
You might still have all those itch games to go through, the 9,000 games or whatever you got in that bundle. So there's no shortage of games. There's no shortage of ways to play games, and games range so much more in price now than they did at the start of the last generation.
Yeah.
When you think about it, that I think that's not to like excuse what they're doing or anything. I think that like moving to $60, moving to $70, I don't think that's great. If they can back it up and say, hey, these games are costing us way more money, because that was when they went to 60, the justification was like, hey, the cost to make these games has gone way up, particularly on the art. We're making HD art, this high def art. Oh man, it's so expensive with all this resolution. And now I guess like it's going to be in 4K, but like all these third-party publishers are making games on PC anyway. So weren't they already haven't they been kind of doing some of that work? I ain't a game developer, so I don't know. But I feel like that excuse of, oh man, the art, I don't know. That seems like that would be a weird one for them to go back to a second time. But I think what I have seen some people float out there is like, hey, the cost of making games actually has gone way up in a lot of different ways.
I think you see it in a lot of games, like there's there's fidelity, but there's also just quantity. You know, like
Sure, yeah.
Last of Us 2 is a 30+ hour game, and I don't think there's a single repeated art asset across that whole game. Like every single fucking like hollowed out apartment you pick your way through, it looks completely, more or less completely. Maybe there's the same couch a couple times.
Sure, right, yeah.
But like just the sheer quantity of just like objects and like set dressing that they had to come up with for that game. Like I cannot imagine how many people it took to do that stuff.
Yeah, and that's stuff that if you're a first party, you can start to think about that in ways of like, well, we sell consoles, we sell, we build goodwill for the next console.
I was thinking about like Sony is one of the few I can think of that still makes just like the flat $60 single player game without really a lot of bolt on transactions. I mean, granted, like Horizon got a DLC, like one DLC, one story DLC.
Yeah.
Like Last of Us maybe we'll get like one thing, but like. They're not out there selling like backpack skins for Ellie or something like that. Like they're one of the few I feel like that still is just like, here's a game for the price it costs, and you will play it and you will finish it, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing that Microsoft is going to chase, right? Like that's the if you look at the Microsoft catalog and how they handled games over this last generation, and everything they've talked about, like, hey, we're starting some new studios, we're buying some studios, we're trying to do this and that. Like it feels like one of the potential routes they could go is to try to get into this like quote unquote like prestige single player game. But even with it, if it having multiplayer, like Halo used to kind of be in that tier, and it doesn't quite feel like it's special the way it was.
Right.
But
so both
cases, to get back to that.
Like you said, those are still both companies pushing a hardware platform. Like they can make those investments in those games and see it pay off in ways other than the actual sales numbers of the games themselves.
Yeah, so I wonder if Microsoft tries to, because I think that's the thing. You look at Sony, and what does Sony have that no one else does? Well, not that Microsoft doesn't specifically. It's that they make that continued investment in story-driven single-player games.
Yeah,
and I wonder if Microsoft will attempt to go after that more directly this time out. Anyway,
yeah. So yeah, that's the seal has been broken, I guess, on this. We'll see. How soon or if every other company comes around to it. I don't know how fast this is going to catch on, or if it's a sure thing that everybody will follow suit. I don't know. I mean, this seems like it was inevitable to me eventually.
I think it depends on how the game does, right?
No, by the time these games launch, the decision will be made.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there will be an initial, but I mean, like, do you see a reality? Let's say like some other publishers go ahead and do it. Do you think there's ever like, oh no, we're gonna scale it? 60 was actually okay, and
I think at some point, like everyone involved will want to protect the potential of a $70 price tag, so they launch at 70 and cut. I want to say that I could be misremembering, but I want to say that like the $60 price tag on Xbox 360 games was like enforced for a time, and that eventually they got into more and more budget games and had more flexibility on pricing. But I want to say out of the gate there was a real push to say no, games on this platform cost $60, so that you didn't have those sorts of situations. I want to say Microsoft enforced that, but I could be making that. But I definitely remember hearing that there was definitely like a concerted effort to not allow lower prices, and so you had games that you looked at and be like, this should be maybe not quite a budget game, but somewhere in between the $20 game and the $60 game, and no one could really do that around launch anyway. So yeah, I don't
know. Speaking of Microsoft, I don't know if. Well, this might have happened when I was out for a couple weeks. I don't know if you guys talked about it back then. I don't think I have been around for it, but the news came out a couple months ago that AT&T is looking to sell off Warner Brothers gaming division.
Yep.
Did you guys go through that?
We did a little bit, yeah.
Also, I had completely missed the fact that fucking AT&T owns all that stuff now.
Yeah.
I guess as we march toward our inevitable conclusion of three corporations owning everything, they had acquired all of Time Warner at some point in the last couple of years. I guess they have got tremendous amounts of debt they are trying to pay down, and that they would be looking to offload WB Games as a way to pay some of that down. But anyway, the news has come out in the last couple of days on a site called The Information, which I was not familiar with, but
I've seen it around in kind of a financial sense, I guess.
It seems to have credibility in that world. The story's behind a paywall, so I couldn't read the whole thing, but the Information is basically out there that Microsoft is said to be perhaps the primary interested buyer in that transaction. That they are looking to potentially pick up Warner Brothers.
What does that get them?
So that's the question. Because if you think about Warner, if you think about WB Games as a unit, you've got NetherRealm, you've got
you're not going to get Mortal Kombat in that. You're
well,
going to get Batman.
So you're not going to get Batman, but I bet you get Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Because think about it, like if you're selling, because if you're just selling the game developer, the divisions, like if they sold NetherRealm but didn't say here's the Mortal Kombat IP, what
Yeah.
What are you really buying there?
What are you really buying? Like a very experienced team that makes fighting games, all other stuff. Are you going to go to them and say like, "Hey, guess what? We own the rights to Tao Feng, so you can make a Tao Feng 2. Let's get Tobias back in here. Bring the team back." Like it just doesn't make sense to do that. So that all the speculation has been around the IP, I think, on this stuff.
Because they do license so much of that.
Yeah, it's like Lego, Batman.
Obviously, Warner's not going to sell Batman to whoever buys the game division. They're over there making movies, all this other stuff. Like
they actually might get those Lego games now that I'm thinking about it, because that's like, I feel like that's something you could swoop up on and just like bring that over. That's easier than DC.
Yeah, but yes, because that's already a licensing deal. So the idea would be like maybe the buyer gets a long-term license to use those properties in games, be it like Harry Potter or Batman or Suicide Squad or whatever, the stuff that's not like game first. And I feel like the only common sense way I can see to structure that deal would be anything that is deemed to be gaming IP first and foremost goes in that transaction. So that would be, I guess that would be like Mortal Kombat. Like what else does Warner?
Right. Scribblenauts.
Scribblenauts is the only other franchise this CNBC story.
And with Scribblenauts, you've got everything. You just type it in.
That's right.
But also you theoretically have, assuming they didn't already just sell all this stuff on the low, but like you probably get a ton of Midway IP.
Oh.
Or in theory you could. I mean, maybe it doesn't come up in the sale or whatever, but I feel like
that's not licensed.
So that's
God, I don't know where to start with that one.
Yeah,
Dr. Mudo, that
NFL Blitz.
So NFL Blitz probably got dealt to EA along with NBA Jam because they put out. The NBA Jam name changed hands in a bunch of weird ways. Prior to that, when Acclaim stole it, or there's a bunch of weird shit there. So, but NFL Blitz, EA, I want to say EA got the rights to use that, and bought that IP out from under that. But
I bet they'd be getting the lucrative This Is Vegas IP.
Yeah, This Is Vegas APB. So Midway bought Atari Games, the arcade side of Atari. So that would be,
they have like
Paperboy,
Robotron.
Robotron is that? Yeah, Robotron
and Battle
Black
Royale.
Knight Pinball.
Okay, Spy Hunter.
Spy Hunter is them for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Spy Hunter roguelike.
Yeah. So there's a theoretical ton of Midway IP that is languishing.
Yeah.
That I would assume if you were buying the gaming division, you would include that as part of the deal. Because it doesn't do Warner any good to, they're like, yes, we're going to make a movie based on APB over here. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I would assume that they would just divest themselves of everything that was like gaming first. And that would, to me, that includes Mortal Kombat with potentially a then licensing deal back the other way of, go make a Mortal Kombat movie and Warner will have the right to, they will have the rights to do that. And they will have the rights to make another Scorpion anime or whatever the hell they're doing.
You think the grid is part of this?
The grid would be part. The grid is the most important part of this.
Yes.
Grid is a sequel to the grid can only happen if Microsoft buys. If Microsoft owns NetherRealm, then maybe we will see a new The Grid.
I just wanted to see if we can make every possible reference to the grid conceivable in this one episode.
Yes.
It's worth mentioning. It sounds like Microsoft is maybe the most interested party. They did rattle off Take-Two, EA, and Activision as other potential buyers.
And I wonder, if that's potential buyers with actual interest, and presumably everyone has the conversation, right? But or is that just like the list of gaming publishers that are large enough to theoretically do this?
Right.
Because it's not like that's a small purchase.
Yeah, this information story starts saying Microsoft has expressed interest in acquiring the games division of Warner Brothers. So it sounds like there is some potential intent there.
I think that's a great fit right up until you start to think about what does it mean for fighting game tournaments, and suddenly,
or even just for like the next Mortal Kombat release. Like, do they continue making MK games on PlayStation if Microsoft owns
is it
them?
just like Minecraft? I don't know. Yeah, maybe, but if that maybe they would be open to that.
When Microsoft bought all those small teams and like rolled out all those statements, were all those supposed to be exclusives?
No, but those were like they are saying like this will still come out on all the like Psychonauts 2, for example. It's like, yes, this will still come to PS4, but those were agreements that were already in place, and in a lot of cases like pre-orders that had already been taken. Like some people had already paid for games on those platforms.
Sure.
So, but going forward for like brand new projects, it's harder to say.
I wouldn't think so, unless there's a damn good reason to do so, and I mean, so that's the thing. Like, Mortal Kombat is an Xbox exclusive. Like, Mortal Kombat sells
a lot,
very well, very, very well. Yeah. And if you start limiting that to Xbox and PC and cutting PlayStation and Switch out of the mix, you kind of lose that point of pride, I guess, of like, hey, this is like the best selling fighting, like an incredibly. Like it sells astoundingly well, surprisingly well, like bigger than ever type well, which I was surprised to hear. But and then you start to work at the logistical end of it, of tournament organizers only want to bring one platform to a fighting game tournament, and are all the Japanese developers making all those anime fighting games going to suddenly make them on Xbox as well? Probably not.
Yeah. Probably not.
So I feel like fighting games need to exist on the PlayStation just to make sense in that scene, don't they?
At the same time, like, I mean, and we'll get into
it could switch. Like, 360 was the major platform.
Well, we'll get into the Evo news in a second, but didn't MK11 get shut out of proper Evo this year?
No, well,
not
initially,
online, but when they were still
Evo,
they were still planning the on location event, that was not part of the lineup, right?
Correct.
Right.
So I don't know if it's fair to MK or not, but I feel like MK has always been a little on the outside of that tournament scene to begin with.
I mean, NetherRealms did a really good job of like always supplying a fairly hefty pot bonus for their games when they were at Evo. The last like 4 Evos all had it, but yeah, they do get the short shrift. Though recently, that's a little more mixed up because Capcom hasn't really been out there with strong fighting games recently either.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be a huge get for Microsoft. I think if you look at Microsoft's strategy of wanting to bolster their first party output, with some of the acquisitions they've made already, like I think this fits right into that and gives them something that they don't quite have. I mean, they do have Killer Instinct, but
what are they doing with that?
I don't know.
Kind of wound down, I guess. I feel like it's been like the last 2, if not 3 E3s in a row where like the day before the Microsoft conference, there was some huge rumor going around, or like, you're not going to believe who they're buying. Mm-hmm. Like, there's going to be some giant acquisition, like Microsoft is going to buy one of the big companies. And that has never come to pass, but like, you feel like those rumors have got to be coming from somewhere.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone's talking to everyone all the time, right? I mean, that's where those rumors come from. Is that everyone's always for sale, one way or the other. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like Microsoft probably would have bought Capcom if like Monster Hunter hadn't hit so big, right?
Yeah, potentially,
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, they've always shown interest. They had like DMC up on the main stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
They like those guys.
Anyway, no real indication of like the timeline for this or when this would play out, but with all the games that Warner is said to have in development, seems like a pretty big move potentially.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into the Evo news. So Evo Online has been canceled completely. Due to a number of allegations of misconduct against Joey Queller, which I guess he's one of the founders, right?
Mr.
CEO
Wizard,
and-
yeah.
Mr. Wizard.
Right.
Um,
Co-founder, yeah.
yeah. Quite a few accusations made about his conduct with underage members of the fighting game community.
Yep.
And then this just kind of fell apart pretty quickly, right? Like
Less than 24 hours
Yeah.
it took. Allegations came out, and all of a sudden players started dropping out, and then commentators, and game developers started pulling out their games as well. It was amazing to see like Mortal Kombat say, "Sorry, we're not going to have any representation
Capcom,
there." Capcom
them
as
fighting
well.
herds, Namco.
Yep.
Like, yeah, pretty much everyone was just like, yeah,
Pretty much everybody, and
We out.
before everybody, Evo decided to say, "Okay, we're not going to do it this year," and we're going to put. They initially said that they were going to put Joey on administrative leave. That was not enough for people.
Yeah, they said they were going to get a third party to investigate stuff.
Yep.
They took decent initial steps, but at that point it was too late.
Yeah. But then, once they did cancel, they did say that Joey's been removed from all responsibilities, which is, the absolute right thing to do, I think, in this case.
And if I understood, the Cannon brothers are the other kind of heads of the organization. Is that right?
Yeah, they were co-founders as well. So yeah, they've it's in good hands. Like they could right the ship.
They have been saying the right things. You had people like they were out there saying some stuff. Mark Mann was out there saying stuff like, admitting that they have a lot of trust to regain from the public.
Right.
They
totally, yeah. Joey was part of an old guard, right? And there's a lot of people in that, and you do have to kind of wonder, like, this was kind of like an open secret, like that's just how he is. A lot of people probably defended his actions in the past, so you wondered who exactly who's been
who's
letting this
covering
happen
for him, who's been like enabling this for how long?
Exactly. So that cast a shadow over Evo for sure. It cast a lot of doubt on who's remaining over there.
And there was a lot of doubt around this Evo to begin with. There was a
Right.
lot of uncertainty with how this online Evo was going to go. It's a huge bummer for obviously all the players involved. It's a really big bummer for the companies whose games are being featured, because this was like I ran a stream playing some Fighting Herds with a few people from the FGC, and we were chatting about this, and so the 4 games that were being featured all have really good rollback netcode, and it was like, this is a really good platform to show that like rollback netcode for fighting games is the way to do it. Like, it turns bad connections decent, and this will be a great showcase of these indies plus Mortal Kombat, and I guess KI is somewhere in the middle. But like, I don't know, it was going to be a really interesting event for a lot of reasons.
It was going to be a proof positive. Like, everybody kind of turns their nose up at like online tournaments, but as Ben just said, these are some of the standouts that could show that it can be done.
On the flip side, I didn't realize this until I was reading up on this whole story, but I didn't realize that Street Fighter V had essentially been pushed out of the online event. Because
everything except those 4 games.
Because its netcode is so bad.
And like everything that was on as part that was part of Evo originally got tossed out in favor of these games that like no one's clamoring to put Killer Instinct on a main stage anywhere, but like that netcode is solid. So when you have to go like, oh, we got to find a credible fighting game that has good netcode, like there you go.
Yep.
And then this was all happening with the backdrop of the Smash stuff going on.
Smash community is in severe turmoil over similar stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some of the literally the biggest names in like Smash Ultimate are out there being outed as just terrible people, and names being named about people who are like letting it happen and shit. Like, it is just fucking, between this and what was happening for Dota, it was a really fucking rough few weeks for me to say these are some of my favorite things, and these are just awful figures who have just done terrible shit and held positions of power and gotten away with it, and like fuck, man.
Yeah.
But
it's awful for me to say that it's comforting in a way that it's coming.
It's
coming from the top. Yeah, it did have to happen. Like, this has been bubbling over. The FGC has been trying to clean up their image for a while because it's needed to. But this is kind of comforting in that it's coming from the top, and that's where change really happens. I think it's from the top down. And with this happening to Evo, with this happening to Mr. Wizard, this really inspires change, I think. Because I've seen a lot of people kind of rally behind this, saying, okay, it's time now. Like, we need a fundamental change on, how we handle after parties, how we conduct ourselves at tournaments and shit like that.
I saw a couple indie devs come out and I think it was Rivals of Aether was out there saying, like, you cannot have alcohol at events with our games are going to be in alcohol-free zones. You cannot be a minor unaccompanied, like under 15 without an adult. Like, people are starting to take positive steps. We saw, I think like Derek Yu was out there talking about, like, just drinking at game events is a hand-in-hand thing. Like, it always has been, and people assumed it always will be, but maybe that's not a great idea, because you get these, a lot of gaming, unfortunately, attracts a immature audience sometimes, and you mix that with alcohol, and it's just a recipe for disaster.
And a lot of egos in a competitive community like that as well. Yeah, totally.
I mean, we've been talking about different ways that the fighting game community has been, obviously this recent stuff is on a different tier than some of the stuff, but like, this goes back years, like in terms of, like, you talk about cleaning up an image and stuff like that, but like, the reluctance to be co-opted by esports and all that other stuff, which I get, but like some of the ways that people tried to behave and justify their behavior as like, oh, well, we're not esports, we're the, and using that as a way to kind of paper over, like, we're going to keep acting like shit. Like, no,
seriously, yeah, that's...
like, no, even if you don't want to be affiliated with a bunch of esports stuff, which I totally get, like, there's still plenty of room to fucking clean up your act. And yeah, hopefully this leads to a situation where these scenes can be better for more people and more types of people going forward. But obviously there's still a lot that has to happen. Right. That's not a light switch. That's
it's not like getting rid of alcohol is going to solve problems, right? It's a step in the right direction. It stops people from being overstepping. It stops people it hinders people from overstepping. It hinders from people who having their inhibitions lowered and unable to make good decisions. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you can say a lot of stuff. Like the FGC, it was like, I don't know, it was a while ago, but Cross Assault. Remember that? That was it was the reality TV thing had like some unfortunate on-camera harassment of one of the female players. I feel like that was a big moment for the FGC to like kind of step back and be like, okay, do we need to make this scene more welcoming? That was like 6 or 7 years ago.
And I couldn't remember the name of it, but like, yeah, that's the thing you look at and go like, that was an opportunity to, like, you look at it and you go like, this shit has to change. But I feel like too many people were just like, nah.
Similar thing happened in Dota, didn't it? With, gosh, I don't want to get this wrong. I could have sworn there was a similar Dota situation with like on-air casting a couple of years ago.
Potentially.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not just alcohol. It's a mindset that alcohol can definitely push further, or people that are looking to do ill can kind of use alcohol to kind of advance that cause. And yeah, fuck yeah, it's all you can do is hope that like these sorts of environments for all games can look at this and go like, we can't just keep looking the other way if there are other people out there engaging in that sort of stuff. You gotta clean up that shit. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yep.
On the brighter side of things, Main 6, the developers for Fighting Herds, was out there saying like, we're going to try and put something together to,
and they should, yeah,
to help because like obviously, they had like 1,200 people sign up for their game, and that's a huge audience. Like, it makes sense from a business perspective, but it also makes sense from a like growing a community perspective. And
Jeez, yeah, I didn't even think about the like lost kind of promotional opportunity for them of getting their game in front of a bigger audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you no like specific news about when that might be. Or I guess I'm sure they're still figuring out basic details.
They started reaching out. They tweeted a couple things that they were reaching out to like TOs and community organizers and that, and trying to put something together. I'm kind of in the initial stages. We had a lot of people reach out. Obviously, I was running a feature that was supposed to end with me playing in Evo on stream. Obviously, that didn't happen. I've been in talks with a couple people trying to put something together, some sort of charity tournament. That's in the works. I mean, we'll have more news on that another time. But like, I really do think there is an opportunity for a lot of serious growth here. I think that this is a moment for this industry, this community to evolve and get past these shitty things that have been. It wasn't out in the public, right? People didn't know this dude was a creep, but he was there and he was actively holding back progress just by being there. And with him gone, hopefully some progress can be made.
Well said. Let's see. Microsoft, next story, has announced a date for their next Xbox Game Showcase, which will be July 23rd.
Yeah, we had heard the week of the 20th in that range, I think, when we were talking last week. But yeah, 23rd. So
It's
coming
kinda,
in late July with their July event.
Yeah. I feel like these have been a little more spaced out than I was expecting.
Yeah, I feel that way about all the like announcements in this lane, this like vague E3-ish season we've been in has felt a lot less substantial. Like when at the beginning of this, when everyone was getting out saying, here's all the events that are going to happen, and the, Keeley with his branding and all the other outlets with their different like fake not E3 branding, like it seemed like a big deal, and now we're in the thick of it, and there've certainly been big announcements and there's still big stuff to come, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel right.
Right.
It feels wrong. And
is Alf going to be there?
I don't know, man. We can hope, but
has Alf
Halo will be there. Is Alf Master Chief? I think that's the question you're really asking, because that's what we want to find out.
Gordon is my favorite Spartan, so
yeah.
Yeah, like that's kind of the news, I guess. Like I feel like they've been saying like it's going to be a first party showcase of games we're making, but like I don't know if that lineup changes or expands in light of what Sony did, which was a pretty like full to bursting hour and change of stuff.
Yeah, it was a good show, and yeah, I would think Microsoft would watch that and think like, let's either bring everything they got, or if they, but also, who knows? Maybe they focus on a small number of games, but go deep on it. I mean, we haven't really seen much on Halo Infinite, and
yeah, they could do
there's certainly an opportunity to say
Halo Infinite thing or something,
where they could go deep on that. But I think from my as much as I want to know more about what that Halo game is going to be and see if it really is going to be different from the previous Halo games. I think that's the game they've been talking about. So I'm curious to see like what else do they got? Like, is this the spot where they finally pull the trigger on a Fable? Do they allude to having a Perfect Dark in development, even if they don't show it? Do they, like where do they go? I think they've got to get out there with some more games. Do we see a Forza for the first time here and say like, yes, we're putting it on the new console? Man, these tires, they are so round. I don't know.
It's been a solid 2 years. I think it was 2 years ago that they stood up there and was like, we acquired this studio and this studio, like Double Fine, and and they're putting.
Yeah, I want to see the payoff from that.
Yeah, right. Like, so are they basically like, all right, here's what each of those acquisitions is working on now? Like,
right.
Well, how many of those are unaccounted for, I guess, is the actual question. Because I think some of those, studios are still working on, like Ninja Theory, obviously got out and announced some of their stuff. Like Psychonauts 2 is still not out, so it's not like Double Fine's going to get up there and say like, here's the other thing we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so.
Although, I mean, you could always have like a strike team concepting a new game and put a logo out there and say like, here's our next game.
Right. Well, that's and so that's where I think the situation of is that the studio, is that the Initiative?
That's the Santa Monica studio, right? The one the one they started up from scratch.
Yeah. So that's, I feel like I kind of forgot about this until we mentioned the Perfect Dark account last week, but there was talk a while ago that maybe that's what they were doing. Was some kind of reboot of that sort of thing, like actually a kind of a third person, but fucking
as far as
that studio's brand new. So you talk about like a strike team, like they're still, well, they're not brand new, but like they're not going to have a game ready to go this year, I would think. So but maybe they have a logo and maybe they have a quick thing. I mean, studios have announced more with less. So
I guess Jeff Grubb from VentureBeat was just out there on Twitter this morning saying, I know some rumors and reports are claiming that the Initiative will be at the Xbox Game Showcase with its first game, but that's not the case. Got to keep in mind that studio only got started in 2018.
Yeah. So that's that even if they did have something there, that's like a logo and a sizzle trailer and a see you next year sort of thing. That's something you only pull the trigger on if you need to show depth, if you need to show like we've got a bench.
Yeah.
This isn't just about launch. We've got stuff in the years to come.
I could see it being time for some kind of news from Rare, maybe. Like Sea of Thieves has been out there for a while.
Yeah.
And they're still putting out stuff for it, but I get the sense that it's kind of transitioning into maintenance mode.
Banjo's doing nuts and bolts too. Yes. I like where you're going.
Yes.
It's Mr. Pants 3D.
Okay.
And Viva Pinata for phones.
I'll take what I can get.
Don't be careful what you wish for, man.
Pokemon Go, but Viva Pinata.
You could.
Definitely could.
Can you imagine a bunch of kids just swinging their phones around like pinata?
Oh man, okay, all right. Now I'm actually on board. If it's like fake bash a pinata, Fortnite made pinatas huge again, so like I feel like there's an appetite for that now. Plenty of room.
I apologize. Chat's reminding me that Rare totally announced a new game last at XO19.
Did they?
Everwild. Remember that trailer? It's like very
No,
very ethereal, like nature-based kind of thing. I don't think they really said anything about what kind of game it is. But I totally forgot they straight up have an IP out there already.
Okay,
but maybe they show something from that.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe they got something like that, or maybe it's like also here's Sea of Thieves built specifically for Series X or something like that.
Now you got me thinking about like a full-on AR Viva Pinata. Like, what if the pinatas were in your house?
What if the pinatas were in your house?
What if your living room was the garden?
Oh man,
I don't have enough space.
Man,
yeah.
What if you could fill your living room with water to attract that quackberry?
How do I keep the sours out of my bathroom?
There's a potpourri spray I can tell you about later.
Okay,
for that.
I have to put down a larger security deposit, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it's 2 weeks and change away, so excited to see some stuff from them potentially.
Yeah.
Do you think we see price and date?
Oh,
that's the tipping point for me. If
we're running out of
they
time.
come out here,
yeah,
we got to see this soon.
I feel like if they felt really good about where their price is at, then maybe.
Yeah.
Like if they feel like they're going to be able to one up Sony on price, and they also get out there with it first, like that is
right.
That sets the narrative.
Yeah.
But
exactly, because if they present a situation where then Sony has to either bite the bullet and come in with a higher price or make cuts that they are not super comfortable making to match price, and that costs them, long term. I don't know.
But the rumors from last week are that the Lockhart reveal is in August, so that seems like more of a price. Kind of thing to me is like here's here's the low cost SKU and here's the price for both of them.
Probably wouldn't say price until you had both ready.
Yeah, you might be right.
Go.
Yeah,
so that probably does make sense.
Yeah. So it's been kind of a weird, diffuse, like kind of not E3 season, but there's still some stuff yet to come.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a job list.
Console years are always kind of weird that way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it does at least focus at E3, but it always feels like the information, because you're not seeing a ton of, or the excitement isn't necessarily about games that are coming out this Christmas for PS4 and Xbox One. There will be those will exist, but people want to know about the new shit, and that's always harder to come by. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Job listing floating around implying that Rockstar is working on a quote AAA VR game.
Why not?
This is the job listing and the development are both at a developer called Video Games Deluxe, which might be the best game developer name I've ever heard.
Wow.
They are in Sydney, Australia. They're the ones who did that VR version of LA Noire, if you remember that.
Okay. Yeah.
The LA Noire, the VR case files.
Supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah. So I was curious about this because they're in Sydney, and I looked it up, and sure enough, they are descended from Team Bondi, the developer that did LA Noire to begin with. Brendan McNamara, the founder of Team Bondi, is there, and apparently some other people as well.
It's a great name.
Yes, it's quite good. But this listing says, having finished the critically well-received LA Noire, the VR case files, we are now gearing up for a new project, a AAA open-world title in VR for Rockstar, is what the job listing says. So pretty straightforward. And then I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be GTA.
I mean, it could be.
It could, but like I don't
probably.
see. I just,
Yeah.
Ooh, GTA V for 5 R.
I mean, well, I guess it could be a port of something else. It says a new project, a AAA open world title.
Well, I guess I'm thinking like, could you do, think about what the VR case files was, think about what LA Noire was. Could you do something in that size and scope with another Rockstar property?
Like
And maybe
table
make
tennis.
Well, no, that'd actually be really cool.
But there are already like a zillion table tennis games for
But
VR.
not like this one.
Not ones with
Not
attitude.
fucking Jesper, that motherfucker. Oh, that asshole. He sucks so much.
You're the
Walk
principal or
across the
headmaster and bully.
Right, yeah. Like, is there, is this the long-awaited Bully sequel? Like,
Yeah, I guess the wording is a little ambiguous, whether it's a new from the ground up game or if it is something adapted from a previous Rockstar release. I don't know.
someone in chat said Manhunt VR. There you go.
Oh God, that sounds so terrifying.
Yeah, that sounds rough. It does say open world, so.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well,
So table tennis.
Just an entire city full of tables for you to play.
See that mountain?
Underground, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Underground ping pong ring. Yeah.
I would think. I would think Red Dead. Honestly.
Huh. You mean just straight up adapt?
No, I
existing
think
Red
like
Dead,
here's a VR take on cowboy stuff and horse riding. VR horse
Roping.
riding. Finally,
Oh boy.
get ready to ride like you've never been ready before.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's just when I think about like that being the game they most recently put out, and like those are the freshest assets to work with.
yeah.
That maybe you do some take on that.
Yeah, I believe that. It seems like kind of a weird fit, though. I don't know.
I think all of Rockstar's properties are kind of a weird fit,
Yeah.
unless you get into like, I don't know, Midnight Club. You can drive cars in VR all day.
Sure.
And stuff like that. But I think if you think about like the major recent Rockstar properties, it's you could kind of do anything. It's just figuring out what the appropriate scope is to do in VR. Because I think adapting.
Hot coffee.
There you
Oh.
go.
What?
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Here we go again. Indeed.
Maybe it's something as mundane as just adapting GTA 5.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's my bet. Is like something that's just, especially if it like gets, I don't know, but like, what's the point of doing that if they're going so hard on GTA Online?
We put out GTA
Well,
5 in every other format we can think of. Here's one last one to port it to.
Sure.
unless they then put a version of GTA Online in VR.
Right.
If they adapt it in such a way that like some of those players could be in VR.
Like the VR
Oh,
GTA Playroom, and it's like a subset, and it's just VR chat, but in GTA.
It's like shark cards, but the shark seems like it's really going to eat you.
Yeah. Or what? I mean, it could just be as easily be, you know, what if it's full GTA Online, but the players in VR can aim better and gesticulate more wildly?
That would be kind of interesting.
Like you're playing on a PlayStation, and all of a sudden someone starts doing crotch chops, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Could be interesting. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh no, we've lost Ben.
Ben didn't want any of this
Oh, he's
virtual
back.
reality.
He's back.
He's back. Ben's back.
Which has now resorted our. I'll fix it in a second. Speaking of adapting games to VR, talk about Dreams getting VR support while I go to the bathroom real quick.
All right.
Okay.
Dreams is getting VR support.
They should do that. Oh wait, they are doing that.
Great.
Yeah.
When
I
is
next
that
story.
happening?
Oh,
I thought it did have VR support, or am I just imagining the Move
It
controller?
has Move controller support.
That's what it
So
was.
July
Like
22nd, it will be.
July 22nd is happening.
Yeah, it'll get you know, and
So does
sure
this
enough.
does this open up the possibility to now start making VR levels, or specifically VR levels in Dreams now? Right?
Well, it
Yeah.
says enables VR compatibility with new tutorials, how-tos, and kits to get started when creating in VR. And yeah, you will be able to play in VR. It's not just for creation from the looks of it. You don't need to be in VR to create for PSVR, and non-PSVR
okay.
users will benefit from the update as well.
Okay.
Introducing new gadgets to create mode and new accessibility features, comfort mode, vignette strength, static sky, and so on. So that just sounds like they're, you know, enhancing the tools overall and doing it in such a way that, you know, better enables people to do stuff in PlayStation VR. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Move controller stuff, they would talk, you know, it seemed like that was the way to make things in
Yeah.
sculpt.
Oh,
in Dreams was to use the Move controllers generally.
Right.
So but doing that within full VR probably makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, what's the
PlayStation.
what's the Google thing that's a lot like that? Is it Tilt Brush? No.
Tilt
Yeah.
Brush, yeah.
Tilt
Tilt
Brush,
Brush?
yeah.
Yeah, like the kind of the 3D VR, like neon light sculpting shit. Like
Yeah.
being able to walk around that and look at every angle of it seems like it'd be
Yeah.
super cool.
That sounds cool.
I mostly just think this is notable because, like, look at the range of shit that has come out of Dreams already. You know, like the types of games that people have been able to make with that thing is like, I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of like dramatically surpassed what I expected to come out of that thing.
I need to dip back into it because it's like it feels like Dreams just kind of came and went, and you occasionally see some people saying like, "Look at this goofy thing where you can play as this other IP in Dreams." I feel like all the discussion is just like, "Look, it is a Mario."
There was that really cool, like,
Toilet
kinda-
with the
it was like what's the cool PlayStation Wipeout? It was like a fully realized like Wipeout game with like city tech and stuff that looked really cool that was circulating a while
Yeah,
ago.
I saw that one.
I saw that.
Some stuff like that has been super impressive. So
yeah. I just haven't looked in on it in a while. So I just feel like anytime it bubbles up to a high level, it's always just someone talking about some like copyright violation thing that exists in
Sure.
Dreams.
sure, there's always going to be plenty of that.
Play this before it gets shut down.
Yeah.
Like or something like that.
But just the idea of being able to see some of the stuff like that people have made up close and get in there,
Yeah.
could be pretty cool. All right, let's just whip through the last three stories real fast here. A Spanish language podcast called A Coffee with Nintendo spoke to the. It's a pretty good name.
Yeah.
Spoke to the voice actors for Link and Zelda from the Spanish language voice actors for Link and Zelda from the first Breath of the Wild, who say that they have finished recording all of their lines for Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever that ends up being called.
There were three of them.
Lines including
Huh?
yeah. Wow.
Actually, now
Yeah.
that you mention it, I guess there was not that much voiceover in
Turns
the
out they were
game.
done years ago when they recorded the VO for the first
Right.
I mean, this could mean probably a lot of things. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, the game's coming out in 3 months or whatever.
It
but
means the script
Yeah.
is done.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't know like
If it's even true.
where they
so-
are in the process.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen it suggested that like localization is something that happens relatively late
Okay.
in development, but who knows? Like, there's even that is not definitive.
And it sounds like people in chat are even calling just the premise of this into question.
Yeah.
That maybe this has been debunked a little bit too. So
it's not okay. Well, this was going around for sure. Yesterday. I don't know. Is that due to a mistranslation or something?
it sounds like that the specific podcast, according to Uninvincible here, says the podcast put out a statement saying it's not true and they're angry that folks are reporting on it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe none of that ever even happened to begin with.
Something may have been lost in translation.
A mistranslation of some kind.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
Something in the coffee.
Okay. Well, this
but it wouldn't be shocking. I mean,
definitely making the rounds on the news beat yesterday.
Yeah, if you think about the but the quantity of dialogue in the previous game and how long they've been working on it, like you wouldn't be too it wouldn't be too outlandish for them to at least have like the script done to the point where they could get most of the VO recorded or something like that, right?
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure. All right. Well, I guess I'll decline to ask people when they think that game is coming out then. If this sounds like this has been called into question.
Next year.
Next year.
Yeah. I'd say that's probably the safe money.
But when is Bayonetta 3 going to come out?
Never.
Not enough.
God damn it.
Never coming out.
What the fuck are we doing as a people that how is that like it's Bayonetta 3? Like look, don't get me wrong. I'm very excited about
Didn't Kamiya get out there recently and like reassure people like yes, it's still in development.
Yes. But like it's not like it's or maybe it is. Maybe Bayonetta 3 is going to be so fucking mind-blowing and so different that it has to take this long. But he's looking to go like, y'all making a character action game. Just
what if it's already been out?
Right?
Hey, Platinum's got a lot going on, you know?
I guess. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it seems like that game should be out this year. I don't but who knows?
Well, we're getting No More Heroes 3, allegedly.
Yeah.
I wonder if Nintendo's got more to announce for the year.
Secret
There was
stuff.
all that like Year of Mario remake shit that was going around.
God, I completely forgot about that stuff.
Yeah. Paper Mario's out in
Yeah, like they just kind of announced Paper Mario out of nowhere.
2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. Any thoughts on a Fallout television show from the creators of Westworld?
I've been playing through Fallout New Vegas, and I actually was like, while I was playing it, I was thinking, you can make a pretty decent TV show around this, because it's a lot of like, you wander into the middle of a conflict, and I mean, this is a lot of video games, open world video games, but like, you know, aside from like your main quest, whatever, find your dad, find who shot you, whatever, the player character is a very blank slate, and it's like, okay, figure out what's happening in this small town and solve their problem. And like, you get some companions on the way, you know, those become your supporting characters. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know.
Yeah. The first 2 seasons of Westworld were pretty good. I liked them a lot.
Seems like people have really turned on that show.
Third season finale is just like a bug crash.
Their scope just got way too big. They like had a really neat idea, and then just it.
Yeah.
They put out a statement about this, basically saying like that they will keep in mind like all the stuff that people like about Fallout, the kitschy, you know, golden age 50s B-movie type shit and stuff like that. They seem to be
That'll be cool.
conscious of what people like about Fallout, or at
But
least
like
what its hallmarks are.
Fallout has done that shit to death now.
Yeah,
like
kinda.
I don't
Yeah.
mm.
Do you think that?
Like
Here's my only question is: do you think the jumpsuits make it into the show? Do you think the straight up
100%.
blue and yellow
Oh,
jumpsuits are?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
those are
absolutely.
not too cartoonish.
The things that definitely make it that a Pip Boy main character has a Pip Boy,
Totally.
Okay.
dog meat, super mutants, ghouls. There you go.
And stepping out of a vault in the first episode.
Yeah.
Like that's
Tunnel rats.
That's how the first episode ends. Is you
Oh
step
no,
out
that's
of
the first
vault.
season. The first season is getting out of the vault.
if the whole first season was like life in the vault, that would be
But the games never
more
do
interesting. The games never do that. But that's
that. Well, actually, I mean, Fallout
Four-
3 had
Four
a lot of like the tunnels, all the tunnel snake stuff, and
yeah. But that was pretty, that was like, hey, we're about to step out of the vault and here's some stuff that was almost tutorial like,
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, man. I feel like even the stories of actual Fallout games have just started to feel like parodies of other Fallout games. So the idea of now you're going to do a TV show that is just going to be like, well, what are the key things? I feel like that's when they're writing a real Fallout game to go, well, what are the key things? Super mutants, stepping out of a vault, Pip-Boy, I guess. Like, it just, yeah, I don't know. Like, hopefully they do something more with it, but I just don't have any faith that they will. They'll just be so focused on like the stuff they feel like they have to hit that they'll just hit it.
I just imagine them purposely making the decision to make the actors walk very rigidly, just to like completely emulate the game.
All the things people love about Fallout.
Yeah, there should just be like terrible glitches of like people falling to the earth and stuff.
Guy walking face first into a wall repeatedly while having a conversation with you.
You have to watch the same episode 5 times and hope it finishes.
Yeah, there's an episode where a character quick saves before a bad combat encounter and it's just fucked over and over.
All right. I caught this right before we started. It seems significant to me. Derek, you posted a tweet within the last day that says, that face when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, #Spelunky2.
And wasn't there the follow-up, like this is the last time Spelunky 1 is going on sale before Spelunky 2 comes out or something?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Like the last summer sale, it will be in.
Yeah,
so that's kind of
still,
that's a wider.
Still a pretty.
Still, I will take
window.
anything. Give me the tiniest morsel, Derek, and I will eat it up.
I kind of had forgotten Spelunky 2 existed, but that would be a very welcome surprise if that were to come out sometime soon.
I started listening to that Spelunky show, which is pretty interesting. If you want to listen to a Spelunky podcast, they get Derek in a couple episodes.
Oh, cool.
It's good conversations there.
Cool. Still no news about UFO 50 though.
It's still in development. I think they I don't know if they've set a date or anything, but they did kind of say, hey, yes, this is still happening.
All right.
So
okay, great. All right, well, that's all I got for the news. Let's cool our jets one more time real quick, and then we'll come back and read some emails. See you in a minute. I see you've been working on the theme song for the emails that we commissioned.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
What is that? I have to get one. What is that?
I forgot the name of it. It's like
Incredible.
It's ridiculous. I saw somebody on Twitter post it, and I have never bought anything faster.
What?
I immediately looked it up on Amazon, and they had a Kirby one. And
Check your order history, please.
you got it.
That looks like way too much fun. Okay. Well, that sound you hear means 40 emails. Oh, wait. I may have left the music still playing.
People love it.
Okay, so people got a whole lot of the DuckTales intro, I think, or something. Give them a little more. Give them a little bit more.
give us some
Okay.
DuckTales.
Oh man, I don't know, DuckTales.
Do it.
I can do this again.
Do
I can do that again. That's about it.
Great.
I learned that yesterday.
Okay, I apologize. I don't know how that happened, but
I think you're really good at it, Jason. I've never seen someone else play it, but I think you're really good at it.
Yeah, you're the
Thank
best
you.
I've ever seen.
Best I've ever seen.
it's no DuckTales. But what is?
Kirby.
Email.
That's
Read some emails. Live podcast, folks. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address. This email comes in from Jeff from somewhere.
Yeah.
Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
This kind of follows on from some of the news stuff we talked about. Facebook just bought Ready at Dawn, and Focus Home just bought Deck 13. I actually hadn't heard about that. AT&T is supposedly selling its game division at Warner. Rumors are that Bloober Team is preparing to be acquired, and Microsoft seems likely to pick them up. What's a studio you're surprised hasn't been acquired yet? For me, it'd be Gearbox, but then the buyer would have to deal with Randy Pitchford and his antics. Similarly, are there any studios you think are being slept on?
Konami.
Well, I mean, that's more of like a giant publisher like that. I don't disagree, but that's like kind of a different category of business.
Like
transaction.
the gaming IP specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't buy all of Konami, but I'm surprised Konami has not dealt its video game stuff out there.
Yeah.
Sorry, so is the question which studio would we like to see get acquired?
or more like that we're just surprised hasn't been, like
Yeah.
because they're that good or whatever. sounds like he's kind of talking more like independently owned, like
Okay.
studios.
So my answer is none of them. They should be allowed to be independent, but
There you go. I like that too. But I mean, Capcom for me, that'd be a hell of a pickup. Think about all that stuff.
Nothing really jumps to mind. Like Rocksteady's owned by Warner, right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's the case already. Like I feel like Microsoft just kind of came through and acquired a bunch of the ones I might have said,
Yeah,
They've got Obsidian,
like
they got
that
Ninja
tier.
Theory.
Like, I think there's that tier of developer that has like gotten to where they have a lot of people. I think there are still plenty of small indie teams that you look at and go like, well, they make amazing games, but that alone doesn't mean they should be acquired. If it's a small team and they're making games and they're making money, then they don't need to be. For these teams that were filling that kind of larger tier when spending a lot more money on people, those are the ones that probably fit the bill a little more directly.
A couple names out of chat that I think are pretty good answers for this are like Larian, for example. Clay.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
just studios with like
Clay would be good.
very strong proven track record.
I'd like to see how about French bread? Get that Under Night and Arcana Heart.
But don't
out
they
to a
have jobs
wider
already? They have jobs. Like, don't they just do this in their spare time? I think.
Is that true?
Right?
I didn't know that.
Have they not? They haven't pivoted. They haven't turned it into a full-time gig by now.
I don't know.
maybe not, yeah.
I'm sure initially that's like how it started. It was just a fan thing, right? I thought.
Yeah, I feel like I remember French bread being like a Dojin
Yeah.
kind of thing or whatever. Yeah, Arc should pick them up or something. I don't know. Get all that under one roof.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like I think for me it was like Konami being a company that seems like less interested in games than it used to be, and sitting on this like gold mine of IP. I'm surprised someone hasn't come along and said, "Yo, let us buy that Castlevania off you.
Right.
Let me buy this Metal Gear so I can then get the guy what made Metal Gear to make me a new Metal Gear."
God.
Like, I still think that could happen someday.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me.
Why not?
Yeah.
I'd be into it. Who should own Metal Gear?
I would have thought it would have been Microsoft.
People.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kirby.
Yeah.
Kirby.
No one should own a Metal Gear.
I wonder if he would come back to
They're walking nuclear tanks.
No. Everyone should own a metal. I learned this in Peace Walker. If everyone has it, then we're fine.
No, we all need to. Well, Chapter 3 can't commence until everyone gets rid of their nukes. You don't understand. The signs are everywhere.
Rex is being sold on the black market now. That ship sailed.
Yeah.
Also, just for the benefit of the chat, the question is, or the conversation is not who do we want to be acquired. It's just who are we surprised has not been.
Right.
I don't think it's not necessarily always an entirely positive outcome for a studio long term to be acquired. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Ben from Iowa. Jeff's suggestion that William H. Macy play Billy Mitchell in a movie to turn around Billy's image reminded me of a conversation not long ago with a friend of mine who posited the following thought. William H. Macy is the worst part of every film he is in. I immediately pulled up IMDb and could not find a single counter example. Can you guys think of a movie where this isn't true? What the fuck is this even?
Mystery Men.
Yeah.
There
The
we go.
worst part of that is
Who has got this
saying
kind
that-
of animus toward William H. Macy? What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. That's a counter example.
Yeah, he's great.
I
He's great.
I totally agree. He's
He's
fantastic
great.
in that movie.
Magnolia.
Like this is one of those emails that I wanted to read because I don't understand how it was written. Frankly,
I think that they just don't like William H. Macy if they think that's the case.
I would not. Before this email came in, I wouldn't have thought there was a person on the planet who would dislike William H. Macy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he was the narrator for Curious. Oh, wait, that's a different Curious George. Never mind. It's about to get really upset.
Yeah. All right. Nonsense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That email. Here's one from Patrick in Columbus, Ohio. The entirety of the email says butter on Pop-Tart?
No.
Non-frosted one, sure.
Wait, are
Frosted,
there
no.
non-frosted Pop-Tarts?
Totally.
Are
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
I thought they were all frosted at this point.
It should be.
So you can just frost that thing with butter.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it on a non-frosted Pop-Tart, or I used to do it like, remember how toaster strudels would come with that little tiny packet of icing you would use up in like 2 of the 6.
Fucking toaster strudel.
And then you just put a little bit of butter on those other ones that you don't have frosting for, and it's
They're so flaky and so good. Oh,
You still make toaster strudel?
Oh yeah.
That's dangerous.
I've been noticing artisan Pop Tarts making a rise in like IG food culture.
Okay. You mean like homemade?
No, just like these bakeries trying to get people to come in. And it's like, hey, take a picture of our fancy Pop Tarts.
Jan, you and I have rapped about how much we hate IG food culture, right?
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the cotton candy ice cream burrito?
Yes.
It's pretty bad.
I can't even parse what you just said. What?
I know.
I've been watching this this cooking reality show, and it's about like making food that doesn't look like the thing, and like it's cool because they like push the boundaries sometimes, but there's always somebody on there who's like, I'm an influencer with 750,000 things, and I make stuff that looks good and tastes good, and then they just are like, yeah, this is pretty, but it tastes like shit. It's so satisfying.
I'll be back in a sec. I gotta take a quick phone call.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okie dokie.
gotta try that Pop-Tart thing.
Shut the account down. They know.
His mind is so blown by the idea of butter on Pop-Tarts. He's going to go try it
Right.
right now.
Yep.
You can like butter the Pop-Tart and then put it in the oven for a while, or like a toaster oven. Just like bake it on there, let it kind of turn sort of golden brown.
Yeah, I wonder.
Throw it in a cast iron and just baste it.
Yes. Well, keeping with the theme of people asking us our opinions on random things, Joe says, are threaded belts still cool? They never stopped.
When were they cool?
They never stopped being.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
When? I mean, I had them. I never thought they were cool.
Yes, that is.
Are we talking like leather threaded belts or like the kind from like you'd get at a PacSun with like the
Yeah,
clamp?
baby.
clip?
That's what I'm talking about.
I was thinking like a braided leather kind of.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh,
Right,
those
I'm
are
on the
cool.
same page.
It's very
Oh man, it's been a hot minute since I've seen one of those. Ooh.
extremely fashion forward.
It's only
Yeah.
cool if you're wearing dungarees.
Braided belt. Hold on.
Yes. All right.
Oh,
Yes.
they're making a comeback.
Oh no.
At least
Really?
the canvas ones that Ben and I are thinking of, they're making a comeback with the youth.
I mean,
great.
like mom jeans came back, right? So I guess like,
That's true.
anything is possible, right?
Fashion is cyclical, baby.
That's true. The braided belts time will come again.
I just want to be able to get the cool checkerboard, like the Legionnaire caps with the checkerboard flaps on the back.
We'll get there.
I can't wait till Jabos come back.
What is a jabot?
What? I don't even know.
They were like it's like a French brand, I think, GIRBAUD. They were these like super baggy jeans with like MF plus G on them. They were so hot. They were so hot.
Okay, yes, I have seen the. I just wasn't cool enough.
Dude, I wasn't cool enough either, but I was too scared to buy them because I thought I wasn't cool enough.
I was too scared to even buy a Jinko, let alone a Jabon.
I feel like you being a tall man, Jinkos on like a man of your height would be like
They just exponentially
imposing,
go
just
out.
terrifying. Honest, yeah, like
I could have a small family tent, like camp
Yeah.
out, and one of my pant legs.
Has anybody ever worn Jinkos? I wonder how comfortable they are. Like they seem pretty roomy.
I feel like you get really sweaty.
Yeah, like I'm not sure if that would actually be a good thing or not, or if that's maybe a little.
It's a lot of material.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. Question from Vince: has a game marketed as a game killer ever actually been successful at killing game? Do people even use that phrase anymore, or is it too obnoxious?
A game killer?
Yeah, like I'm trying to.
Halo killer.
Yeah, like I was trying to think of some examples, and Killzone 1 being the Halo killer is the one that comes to mind.
And Haze, right? Haze was a
it?
Halo killer.
Yeah, like I feel like, well, no, but I feel like any shooter in that era like would occasionally, if it didn't get marketed that way, like the press, I think a lot of the time would like create that shit because always trying to create. It's like, is this a Halo killer?
The
Like
World of
writing
Warcraft
that
killer was a
subhead,
big one.
and the answer is always no.
I might be wrong, but I feel like Guerrillas participated in the Halo killer
Yeah,
narrative.
they may have.
case.
Certainly some publishers have gone for that approach, and it's never a game is.
Yes.
I can't think of a case of a game ever having killed another game.
Yeah.
Games kill themselves.
Numerous people in the chat saying that Gex was pushed as a Mario killer.
And it was.
And it was.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Who the fuck is Mario?
Mario.
now?
I mean, Dana Gould would destroy Charles
Yeah.
Martin in a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who I'd put my money on.
And now there've been there's like 100 Gex games now.
That's right.
So that's what that is.
Keeps going and going.
Now I get it.
Ben from Wisconsin wrote in about a Tekken machine that he remembers from, I'm just going to paraphrase this email, from the late 90s to early 2000s. It was basically one of these with like, he refers to it as a showcase cabinet. I don't know if that's the official name. Like the controls are on like a console or podium in the front.
Yeah,
And it
like
just
an
kinda
island.
goes
type
down.
thing.
Yeah, it goes down to the floor, and there's just a big
Oh, yeah.
empty space, and then like a giant screen.
Hell yeah.
on the other end.
I wanted one of those. I built one of those actually.
Oh wow! Like his question is basically just, do you know when these cabinets came out, and is there a functional reason for this cabinet design?
It was just cool.
Black, big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You could watch people play, and
you could fucking walk between the controls and the screen.
Yeah. it was imposing in the arcade. So,
Yeah.
it was definitely like drew attention, and you're like, man, I want to play that, I saw one of those. There was an arcade in this shitty mall, not that far from here, that had one of those that literally had Halo running on it.
Oh wow.
And they had hooked up an Xbox in one of those cabinets somehow and
I've
made it so like
seen
you would
that.
put quarters into it
Maybe it
somehow,
was at
and,
that same mall, but
and
yeah.
it would let you play Halo, and it just
All right.
the controls on it
cool.
didn't make sense either. It was just like this weird, like it's a joystick and here's some buttons and here's like kind of like a trackball, I guess. Okay, I guess trackball makes it was just nonsense top to bottom, the whole cabinet. It was fucking weird.
That sounds great.
Email from Forrest in Kalamazoo. My fiance and I have been slowly working our way through Borderlands 3. We are almost to the end of the game, and we were running through an area called Carnivora. As we were working our way through, I realized that the voice taunting us was the one and only Penn from Penn and Teller. We later fought them, though their names were Pain and Terror. Penn did not seem very enthusiastic to be there at all and seemed just kind of bored of the whole thing. So my question is, can you think of a celebrity cameo in a video game that seemed as if they were being forced to be there? I feel like
Most of them.
Yeah, I feel like the late
Yeah.
90s would probably be rife with this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, those celebrity deathmatch games.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like how did Bruce Willis take to Apocalypse? Because I feel like
It was not great. Yeah, that stuff was not great.
Mickey Rourke in
Oh,
Road
he
Warrior.
put his full soul into that game. Like that was like every ounce of the man coming through in a way that you could feel, I think. Yeah, Bruce Willis in Apocalypse. Well, that was a weird one because they repurposed his character over the course of development and didn't get to re-record the VO. Originally, Bruce Willis was your sidekick, and then they realized, oh, no one wants to hang out with Bruce Willis. They want to be Bruce Willis. But they didn't re-record, so they just used what they could. And just kind of had to use whatever dialogue didn't have like a "you need to shoot that guy" and
he's talking to himself in the third.
yeah, just change that to "shoot that guy." I don't know what I don't have an example, but
You did great, buddy.
yeah,
I don't know if anybody remembers this. I don't, but Zombie Pie in the chat says that David Duchovny in Area 51 is, quote, otherworldly.
oh fuck, right, yes,
In 13 too.
Is he in there?
yeah, yeah, he's in, yeah. He's not. Is he in the? Are they using the same VO in that remake?
I think it's new, but still David.
Oh boy.
Are they oh, right. They are remaking that. God.
Brad, yes, they are remaking 13. It is a very good game that deserves a very good remake.
For a second, I thought you meant they were remaking Area 51 for a minute, which seems even more insane.
Marilyn Manson was in that Area 51 game, I think.
Whoa.
Because there was a couple. I want to say there was a couple times they tried to reboot it, but so maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, there's. I think he played the alien in that fucking game.
I don't know how her performance was, but I was recently reminded that Tia Carrera headlined of an FMV game.
Oh yeah, what?
The Daedalus Encounter.
Yeah.
Daedalus Encounter.
Yeah. I have to go check that out at some point. I don't know.
How was Revolution X?
Are they really in that?
Besides
their,
very briefly, yeah. I don't think the whole band is, at least in speaking roles, but they were all mocap playing instruments.
I remember I think on the first level, you get like a little 15-second, here's Steven Tyler being like, captured by the terrorists.
Yeah, like but you get the keys to their car, and there's a brief video of him going like, you got to get out there and shoot people with music or whatever the fuck it is. And,
yeah, I think you're shooting CDs.
Yes.
Yeah, music is the weapon.
I'm just going to read one more quote from the chat here on this question. Tobey Maguire's voiceover in the Spider-Man 2 game, lol.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, that legendary cutscene.
Well. Yeah. To this day, I really need to find the cassette tape of that interview with Kirsten Dunst I did for that game.
Yeah.
Cassette tape.
Speaking of, yes, it was recorded on a cassette tape. That's how long ago it was. She did not sound especially enthused about the video game.
What?
Weird. Who would have thought? Jay from Memphis, are you more surprised that the Elder Scrolls 6 or GTA 6 skipped this current console generation?
Neither.
Yeah.
When you look at what they did with Elder Scrolls Online, it seemed pretty clear that they would be taking a break from making new ones of those just to give enough runway for the online game. And I don't know. GTA takes so long for them to get to another one, and they kind of not quite launched with one this generation, but sort of had it there eventually. And I don't know. GTA has just gotten really weird too with the way its online took off. So I think it's kind of, if you had maybe told me at the start of a generation before any of that had happened, I'd been like, well, that's weird. But as the way that stuff unfolded, I don't think it was.
Yeah, it makes sense in retrospect, but kind of the idea that there was not a single brand new GTA on these consoles is a little wild.
A little bit,
but here we are. Let's see. Paul, in the before times when this is kind of following up on our jam and jelly conversation. In the before times when I would go to a diner for breakfast, I would typically get eggs and whole wheat toast. Then after I had eaten the eggs, if I had a slice of toast left over, I would take the ketchup, either from the egg plate or straight out of the bottle, and spread it on my toast. I would then eat it and enjoy it. In my eyes, ketchup is basically jelly. It's made from a fruit and has plenty of sugar added to it. It's just society and tradition that tells us this sugary fruit spread should be used on some foods and not others.
I get it.
I see their point.
Yeah, it's a fair point, but jelly is just
to me,
better.
Whatever you want on whatever you want. But I think the idea of trying to create all these weird hoops about well, it's just a sugary fruit spread. I was like, people put stuff on stuff, whatever, spread eggs on a thing. I don't give a shit.
Ketchup is bad.
I don't like ketchup.
Ketchup is
secretly,
I used to love ketchup. It has its places. I mean, fucking ketchup with French fries. Yeah,
sure.
Potatoes, yeah. I used to put it on bananas. I used to put it on chocolate chip cookies. I used to put it on anything, because it's kind of sweet and it works in a weird way. If you can look, we were poor and we had to get real creative with food sometimes. So I did it, and it was it's like a sweet tomato. Banana ketchup is a thing also.
Banana ketchup isn't made out of tomatoes, though.
No, but it has that hint of
that sounds pretty good, actually.
banana ketchup when I found out that it's not made out of tomatoes. It's all just bananas. Broke my mind. Felt like I'd been lied to my whole life.
This is the first time I've heard of it.
I've heard of it, but never actually considered what it was or why it existed. But now that I'm forced to contend with that,
I still am at odds with it internally.
Oh, can you make banana bread with banana ketchup? Or what if you put banana ketchup on a slice of banana bread? Oh, shit.
I don't feel good.
No, pass.
I'd say I'd bring some
I'm
into the
saying pass to
office,
that.
but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Darn.
On cookies, Ben?
Yeah, on a
What was the best iteration?
I really liked it on bananas. I would do that a lot. I would also dip my bananas in chili sometimes. That was really good.
I could see that. Sure.
I like the tomatoey and banana taste together. But yeah, I would put it on like Chips Ahoy cookie sometimes as a little treat for myself.
Little treat. Yeah.
I might totally slice up a banana into a bowl of chili next time.
Yeah, it's all right.
I mean, I would do it with plantains, and bananas are not that different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds all right.
Oh, what's the Dominican dish with plantain? No, hold on. Proceed.
All right.
Mofongo with ketchup.
I think this is the most upset I've ever made the chat.
No. Oh yeah, Ben. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Don't never be ashamed about this again.
Oh, I will never be ashamed.
All right.
I get it. A couple more question from Anders. Do you think it would be more or less infuriating in new Pokemon Snap if the technique score was based on some algorithm that's been trained on famous photos rather than center frame only?
As someone that's playing through Pokemon Snap now, it is absolutely infuriating that this man, I don't even know if he's not even a doctor. He's just a professor. Anyone can be a professor. This man is a doctor saying that my technique or the sizes of my Pokemon aren't that great. All the technique this motherfucker's asking for is just, as long as it's in the center of the photo. It's fucking, god damn it. The rule of thirds in photography. What about like a depth of field type of deal, huh?
Yeah, I
You're
would
just
like
mad because you took that picture of the magneton and there was no magneton in the middle. It was a triangle, but he's lost points for having nothing in the middle.
God damn it.
Who is he to judge your art?
Exactly. This motherfucker, I swear to God. I'm limited to being on a cart. How can you I'm not saying you can't take good photos in like a railway system.
It's not about art. It's about cataloging these Pokemon, It's about scientific method. And you're not going to get all artsy with a picture. No, if you take a picture of a butterfly, you get that butterfly right in the middle of the frame, buddy.
Why is the butterfly doing something special like shooting fire or whatever the fuck a butterfly does?
Why is he insisting that I throw apples at these Pokemon though?
Yeah, that's a little fucked up. Yeah. And pester balls, like
what even? That's just a smoke bomb.
Hit this fucker so he does something cool. Then take a picture of it.
God.
All right.
I mean, I can understand playing a flute and then having someone react to that, and then taking a picture there.
I just chuck something at him. I like that better.
All right. Last email. It's from Anonymous. I work in the graphics department at Dart Container Corporation, and I am intimately familiar with the Jazz print, the copyright of which Dart definitely owns.
Really?
The Jazz Cup design was created by a production artist at the Sweetheart Cup Company in 1991. Sweetheart was acquired by Solo Cup Company in 2004. Solo was in turn acquired by Dart Container in 2012.
Did not know that.
Dart Container sounds like the dark cyberpunk future name of your cup company. Dart Cup Heavy Industries.
That's where I keep my darts.
Until relatively recently, Dart has not been great about protecting their copyright on the Jazz design. I think they failed to realize what a 90s retro phenomenon it has become and have allowed all sorts of bootleg products to flood the marketplace. We currently print the Jazz pattern on a wide range of food service products, foam, plastic, and paper cups, paper plates, etc. There is a supply cabinet in my department that is completely full of various printed Jazz samples. Interestingly to me, when you were all still in the office, I often would see other Dart products on set in your videos, such as the Solo Bear Cup, and sure enough, there's the damn cup that I drink tea out of all the time. And the Dart Anthora design, at E3. It's that one that says, "We are happy to serve you," with three little steaming coffee cups.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyway, I just wanted to let you know that Jazz is copyrighted and Jeff's mask is bootleg as hell. Also, I want one. Also, wear a mask.
Agreed.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed on all counts.
there you go. All right. I declare an end to the emails.
Tremendous.
Thank you.
Email. Jason, play us out.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Listening to these emails. It's kind of
I'm happy to be here.
how would you rate this week's emails?
Oh, now it's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, now
okay.
it's up there.
Right. I had one about my. Ooh. I had one with someone's firsthand stories about Michael Keaton, but I think we'll have to save that one for next week.
All right.
It was a little on the long side. All right.
And in your brushes with Michael Keaton.
That's right. If anybody out there has knowledge of Michael Keaton, firsthand or otherwise, please let us know.
Yeah.
Unless it paints him in a negative light, in which case, please keep it to yourself.
That's right.
I can't take it.
Yeah.
All right.
You got emails. We've got V-mails.
Oh?
Coming up
What's the V
on
stand
the
for?
Aftermath Voice.
Oh. Okay.
Network.
All right. Well, let's make way for the after show here. If you're watching or listening live.
Yeah. We got an abundance of voicemails.
Yeah.
Say you could fill up some sort of vehicle with them.
Yeah, there's enough that you could fill up like a, I don't know, like a basket on a bicycle or something. You think, or
Maybe like a bunch of shopping carts taped together.
yeah, pull together some shopping carts and put a motor on it. And yeah, I like it.
All right. Well, then let's get out of the way so you guys can get that going. We'll be back next week. We got it's kind of standard schedule this week. We're back to the Friday stuff after being out last Friday. So
Yes.
Minecraft and Hotspot and stuff like that incoming.
Optifine preview came out.
Yes.
So that Minecraft stream.
checked it out.
I installed it last night. It seems to work.
It looks pretty tight.
Seems to work. It looks pretty good.
I've got a computer that can run that shit.
You should get on that. Nobody should be playing vanilla Minecraft. I mean, it's fun, but
Neapolitan only.
treat yourself. Get some shader packs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, stay tuned for that and other stuff throughout the week, and we'll be back for another one of these podcasts same time next week. Thanks for listening. We will see you then. See ya.